Park Suho was just an ordinary young man living in the 21st century, but one fateful day would change his life forever. He was on his way to a PC bang to hang out with his friends when he received a text from his parents telling him to buy a gift for his younger brother Junho's birthday that evening. Park Suho had to cancel his plans at the last minute and was about to go buy something. Suddenly, a loud noise erupted, throwing the entire street into a panic. Then a blinding golden bolt of lightning shot down from the sky. To the horror of the witnesses, it struck a group of cars, causing them to explode. A second bolt hit a skyscraper, causing severe damage. The city quickly descended into chaos, with people screaming and running for their lives as more lightning bolts continued to crash down. Park Suho also ran for his life amidst the crowd. No matter how tough he was, the sight left him utterly terrified, and he could only hope it was all just a nightmare. While running across the street, a truck that had lost control sped straight towards him. Just as he thought he was about to be crushed, a blinding white light appeared and he lost both his sight and consciousness. When he came to, it was pitch black. Park Suho opened his eyes, his breathing erratic from the stress. Only one question filled his mind. The truck had clearly hit him. So how was he still alive? But stranger things were yet to come. When he turned over, he discovered two giant moons in the sky. One was blue, and the other was as red as blood. Before his heart could calm down, it began to tremble again. He stood up, realizing he was stark naked in a forest that looked nothing like Seoul. Even more terrifying, he witnessed a giant brown bear being torn apart by a pack of wolves. This scene was beyond anything he could comprehend. Despite its size, the bear couldn't withstand the pack's ferocious assault and was eventually torn to shreds. As Park Suho hid behind a rock holding his breath, he suddenly felt a pair of eyes on him from behind. He tensed up and turned around. To his dismay, it was a juvenile wolf. His powerful survival instincts kicked in, and Park Suho took off running. He ran as fast as he could, pushing himself until his heart felt like it would burst. Just then, a strange voice echoed in his head, announcing, "Your stamina has increased by 1 level." Before he could process the strange voice, he tripped on a rock, tumbled, and fell straight off a cliff. Luckily for him, he landed in a bush. Otherwise, he would have been smashed to pieces. "What was that sound just now? I must be hallucinating," Park Suho mumbled. He then noticed a bush of fruit in front of him. He wasn't sure what they were, but each one was round, large, and juicy, looking quite similar to apples. The sight reminded him that he was quite hungry. After seeing a swarm of ants eating them, he assumed the fruit must be edible and popped one into his mouth. But Park Suho's luck was just rotten. He had only taken one bite when a chill ran down his spine. His instincts told him to look up, and through the dense thicket, he saw a pair of cold amber eyes staring directly at him. Park Suho was so scared he almost bit his tongue. The owner of those eyes quickly revealed itself a giant python. Before he could react, it lunged ready to swallow him whole. At that moment, he was too terrified to even breathe. But once again, he was saved in the nick of time. A giant toad, equally massive, appeared and snatched the snake in a single bite. The two creatures then dragged each other into a swamp. All of this happened in a matter of seconds. Park Suho hadn't even finished swallowing his bite of apple. Unable to handle the shock, he passed out once again. This world was too bizarre, or maybe he had just gone insane. And so the days passed. Park Suho woke up again during a downpour. It was his 67th day trapped in this strange world. The wolves were still targeting him, giving him no peace, as he never knew when they might attack. And besides the wolves, there were 1,000 other dangers in this forest. This pushed him to leave and find a safer place. Time flew by. A year had passed since Park Suho was trapped here, and he had gradually accepted his reality. He had become adept at finding food, and had even grown accustomed to the strange voice that occasionally appeared in his head. For example, today, as he was harvesting a bunch of bananas, he heard an announcement that his muscle strength had increased by 1 level. He had survived, and had also gotten used to being followed by a wolf. It seemed to be the same juvenile wolf he had met on his first day in this world. But Park Suho didn't pay it much mind, as he was too busy trying to stay alive. While he was eating a banana, a cold drop landed on his back. He thought it was raining again, but when he looked up, he unconsciously muttered, "Holy cow." That drop was the drool of a giant, ferocious-looking ape. It immediately saw Park Suho as plump prey and began to attack. Fortunately, the past year had honed all sorts of survival skills in him, from running and jumping to swinging on vines. He managed to swing on a vine and narrowly dodge the ape's attack. The ape, on the other hand, stepped on a branch that couldn't support its weight. The branch snapped and the ape fell to the ground. Unfortunately, when it fell, it landed right on the young white wolf that had been following Park Suho. The small wolf was sent flying, its leg impaled by a branch, bleeding profusely. But the look in its eyes as it stared at the ape was filled with killing intent. This enraged the massive beast, which quickly shifted its target from Suho to the small wolf. But before it could attack, Suho leaped from above, clung to its neck, and used a sharp branch to stab it directly in the eye. The ape let out a deafening scream of pain, then grabbed Suho and threw him against a tree. Blood started streaming down his forehead. Unlike other protagonists who seemed to have no way of returning to their original world. Yet after all the trials and tribulations, Park Suho managed to return to Seoul. The return of someone from another world was such an extraordinary case that he had to undergo a medical evaluation. During the consultation, Park Suho recounted all of his experiences on that bizarre planet. When he heard the part about Park Suho deliberately blinding the ape, the doctor seemed very surprised. "Why would you do that?" Park Suho gave a somewhat unsettling smile. "Because I realized I couldn't keep avoiding the territorial disputes of those monsters. Besides, wherever I go, I am the one who rules." Back in his memories of that terrifying planet after throwing Park Suho away, the ape seemed to have regained the upper hand. With his body completely exhausted, all he could do was watch helplessly as it snarled and charged towards him. Just as Park Suho was about to give up, the wolf pack appeared once more, led by a fiercely brave white wolf. Just like the brown bear before it, the ape, despite its larger size, found itself at a disadvantage and was overwhelmed. And with that, Park Suho succumbed to his pain and fainted as the wolves swarmed the ape. He had thought his life was over, but the wolf pack didn't attack him while he was unconscious. Perhaps they were grateful to him for saving the wolf pup. The small injured pup was in fact the son of the Wolf King leader of the Blood Wolf clan. And so Park Suho successfully earned the trust of the very pack that had once sought to devour him. He began to live, eat, and sleep among them. By his second year of being stranded, Park Suho was officially accepted as a member of the pack. He thought his ordeal would end, but he remained stranded for a total of 31 years. He was still in that forest, having found no way out and no signs of any civilization. The wolves had become his family. Park Suho began to contribute more to their territorial wars for the survival of his wolf family. After 31 years of accumulated experience, his combat skills had become exceptional, and combined with his human intelligence, he had almost never lost a battle. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, Park Suho had spent 120 years stranded in that world. He believed he was the only human there. He didn't seem to age. In his constant fight for survival, Park Suho made many animal friends, but he also lost some, as the lifespan of wolves was not eternal. Eventually, he lost count of how many years he had been stranded. He forgot the days and months. It felt like hundreds of years had passed, and he didn't understand how he was still alive. So after becoming the Wolf King and living for over 500 years, you still couldn't find any trace of civilization. Then how did you manage to return to Earth? The psychiatrist asked. Park Suho fell silent for a few seconds, then began to reminisce. At that time, as the Wolf King, he was leading a war against the gorilla tribe on Moonlight Hill. He fought with immense power, but at the peak of the battle, that same blinding white light suddenly appeared. He had traversed through space and time once again. But the Earth he returned to was no longer peaceful. It had entered a post-apocalyptic era. Just before Park Suho's portal opened a patrol team, a beautiful blonde woman with a Japanese sword and 2 men was in the area. The woman held a device that seemed to be a scanner, but it was going haywire. "This thing is acting up again. The dimensional energy is fluctuating wildly," the woman grumbled. "Quick, send our coordinates to the gate management team," the man in the bulletproof vest ordered. The other man quickly complied. But just as the location was sent, a massive tremor shook the ground in front of them. It seemed a gate was about to open. Not knowing what might emerge, the 3 of them turned to run. But the tremor was too powerful and the 2 men were blown away. Realizing she couldn't escape, the woman stood her ground. "I'll buy some time, you two run," she yelled, drawing her sword ready to face whatever came. The gate was about to open and she was tense, not knowing what would appear. But she steeled her resolve, no matter what it was, she would tear it to pieces. And then something slowly emerged. But when she saw it, she couldn't bring herself to strike. It was the form of a human. More importantly, this person radiated an immense pressure that froze her limbs, making her unable to control her own actions. Although she didn't know what Park Suho's abilities were, the way he was roaring like a madman was enough to terrify anyone. The woman was incredibly tense. Her hand was on the hilt of her sword, but she was too scared to draw it. After a while, Park Suho collapsed from exhaustion, and the gate behind him immediately closed. The two other team members saw this and rushed back. They couldn't believe that what had emerged from the gate was a human. Only the woman remained frozen in place, unable to comprehend the pressure Park Suho had just emitted. Not even the high-level dungeon monsters she had faced could generate such an overwhelming aura. It made her truly question who or what Park Suho really was. Afterward, they called an ambulance and took Park Suho to the hospital. That was why he was here, spending nearly 2.5 hours telling the doctor about his experiences in another world. After asking his questions and recording everything, the doctor finally let Park Suho rest, informing him that his health was fine and he could be discharged in a few days. As the doctor was about to leave, Park Suho suddenly called out to him and said earnestly, "This is the first time I've spoken to a civilized person in what feels like 1,000 years. Thank you for listening to my story." The bald doctor froze for a few seconds, then smiled kindly. "You've shared a very valuable personal experience. We should be the one thanking you." The wild warrior had returned after a 1,000-year adventure. Yet as soon as he left the room, the doctor nodded to himself, muttering that Park Suho was a fascinating patient. His story was so vivid in every detail. He would surely be a successful novelist. It seemed the doctor considered Park Suho a psychiatric patient. Later, Park Suho's information was sent to the Awakened Management Bureau. They quickly processed his data and issued him an F-rank ID card. When the blonde woman received this, she looked utterly puzzled. "Captain, something's not right. Are you saying he's an F-rank?" "Yes, he's a rare F-rank case. It's a shame. If he were an E-rank, he'd at least be eligible for government disability benefits. But the problem is F-rank means he's just an ordinary person." "How can an ordinary person survive passing through a gate? Are you sure this information is correct?" Her captain shrugged, suggesting that Park Suho might have just gotten lucky. Cases like this happen sometimes, however rare. Seeing that she still looked unconvinced, the captain pulled out a doctor's report from the hospital. The doctor in charge of Park Suho was Kim Jung-gu. The report clearly stated his diagnosis: post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD), with symptoms of cognitive and psychological impairment. It noted that he sometimes behaved like a wolf and seemed trapped in a fantasy world with excessive psychological stress, causing him to confuse imagination with reality. They had prescribed antidepressants and psychotherapy. "You see, he has PTSD, a common disorder among F-rank returnees." The blonde woman stared at the medical report for a moment. The phrase, "exhibits wolf-like behavior at times," caught her attention. It was true. When she first met him outside the gate, his roars were indeed very wolf-like. "So the immense pressure I felt must have been my imagination," she told herself, trying to rationalize it. "Captain, are these the documents for the returnee Park Suho?" "Yes. Even though he's an F-rank, we still have to process a returnee according to procedure." "All right. I'll deliver this to him personally." Her determination seemed to surprise her captain. "Why do you have to deliver it yourself?" "Because there's something I need to confirm with my own eyes." With that, she took the file and left. 2 weeks had passed since Park Suho returned to Earth after being stranded in another world for what felt like 1,000 years. While he was there, he had yearned to return more than anything. But now that he was back, everything felt alien. He spent all day in bed with no motivation to do anything, unsure of how he was supposed to live from now on. A knock on the door from a nurse interrupted his wandering thoughts. She brought him his meal, just in time as Park Suho was hungry. He sat up and began to eat earnestly. The blonde woman Choi Soo-jin visited just as Park Suho was wolfing down his food, scooping it up with his hands with the raw instinct of an animal. The moment he saw her, his eyes turned fierce and defensive. "Hello? I'm Choi Soo-jin from the Awakened Management Bureau," she introduced herself. Park Suho paused and got out of bed. Choi Soo-jin's scent and her golden hair felt very familiar to him. He instinctively took a few sniffs. "I was the first person you met after you returned," she reminded him. "Oh," Park Suho exclaimed, which explained the familiarity. Meanwhile, Choi Soo-jin was racking her brain. When he first stepped out of the gate, he had given her the feeling of facing a wild beast. But now he looked more like a harmless husky. This made her doubt her own perception. Park Suho ate quickly, clearing the tray in no time. "All right, let's talk. What is this Awakened Management Bureau?" he asked first. "Why are you speaking so informally to me?" Choi Soo-jin asked, a little annoyed, as using honorifics is very important in Korea. "Because I'm over 1,000 years old," Park Suho replied seriously. His statement only reminded Choi Soo-jin that he was a psychiatric patient. She pushed a file towards him and began to explain. "The Awakened Management Bureau is a government agency established to help returnees like you reintegrate into society. The documents contained information a returnee like him needed to know. Choi Soo-jin told him to read it carefully and sign the consent form to share his personal information. Nothing would have been out of the ordinary if he hadn't picked up the ballpoint pen and started sniffing it intensely. "Why do you smell everything?" Choi Soo-jin asked, bewildered. "It's been 1,000 years and people are still using these." He then clumsily tried to sign his name, but after a millennium without writing, his penmanship was sloppy. "Are you from the Stone Age?" "No, you're supposed to sign here. I told you to sign and write your full name here," Choi Soo-jin said, losing her patience. In her eyes, Park Suho was now a complete idiot. She waited patiently for him to sign, but instead he drew a picture of a wolf on the document and with great concentration, which only annoyed her more. "Hey, Park Suho, did you practice drawing while you were over there?" "No, I knew how to draw before," he replied nonchalantly. "So did you learn anything there, like dark magic or martial arts?" Park Suho shook his head, saying he had been in the forest the whole time. He was about to elaborate, but Choi Soo-jin cut him off with a long sigh. "So to survive, you just hid for 10 years, is that it?" When she said this, a question mark appeared over Park Suho's head. He was visibly annoyed. How could the once mighty Wolf King be described as just hiding? As for Choi Soo-jin, she was also losing her patience. For a normal person to become a true returnee, they needed to kill monsters and absorb dimensional energy. But based on Park Suho's reaction, he seemed more like a clueless amateur who accidentally fell into a peaceful dimension, lived there for 10 years, and then stumbled upon a regression stone to trigger a gate. She had given up hope. It wasn't 10 years. After a few seconds of silence, he spoke again, his tone firm. "I was in that forest for 1,000 years. Of course, Choi Soo-jin no longer believed him. In fact, she was starting to get irritated. "It wasn't 1,000 years, it was 10. Don't annoy me." She pointed to the file, which clearly stated that Park Suho went missing in 2015 and returned in 2025 through a gate. He read it, and it was indeed true. This revelation was a massive shock for someone who had genuinely experienced a millennium in another world. Choi Soo-jin didn't want to comment further. She handed him his awakened ID card and explained that it would provide him with some financial assistance. After instructing Park Suho to read the documents carefully, Choi Soo-jin quickly left. "Once you've recovered, you should return to your family," she added as she departed. After Choi Soo-jin left, Park Suho remained stunned, the word slowly sinking in. Family. He thought they had all died long ago. While in the forest of that other world, he had long given up hope, assuming that even if he did return to Earth, his friends and loved ones would be gone. Now, back on Earth, he had to accept the reality that he had lost his other family, the animals he had lived with for 1,000 years. Park Suho couldn't escape the despair of being alone once more. But now, looking at the file, he began to wonder if it was all just in his head, especially since only 10 years had passed since that fateful day. He read the file slowly. After 1,000 years, he could barely remember how to read. His father, Park Jung-ho, and his mother, Kim Soon-suk, had both died during the dungeon outbreak in 2015. But his younger brother, Park Jun-ho, was still alive. Reading this, Park Suho's emotions erupted. He bolted out of his hospital room, ignoring the nurse's protests, and burst straight into the bald Dr. Kim Jung-goo's office. "What is it, Mr. Suho?" "I need your help," he said urgently. "My younger brother is still alive. I have to find him. Please discharge me." In response to Park Suho's plea, Dr. Kim shook his head. He believed that a psychiatric patient like him wasn't ready to return to society and should stay at the hospital to wait for his brother to come. Seeing that he wouldn't agree, Park Suho's expression immediately changed. "I don't think you understand the situation. I'm not here to ask for your permission." Dr. Kim chuckled. "Is that so? Fine, I can discharge you, but on one condition." Dr. Kim Jung-goo calmly proposed his terms. After a brief discussion, Park Suho was successfully discharged. Dr. Kim even helped him get a taxi and instructed the driver to take him home safely. The nurse who accompanied them was very confused. She didn't understand why Dr. Kim Jung-goo would pay for Park Suho's hospital bills, buy him clothes, and even cover his taxi fare. F-rank returnees were basically ignored by the bureau, not to mention the fact that Suho had disrespectfully called him Baldy. "Why did I do it? I suppose I want to hear the rest of that young man's story," Kim Jung-goo replied. The nurse was even more bewildered. They all thought what Park Suho had said was just the nonsensical rambling of a mental patient, yet Dr. Kim was this interested. After returning to his office, he didn't forget to remind the nurse to call a repairman for the doorknob. An unobservant person wouldn't have noticed, but the doorknob had been warped by Park Suho's grip. Dr. Kim, however, had noticed. He didn't believe an ordinary person could possess such strength. For a doctor like him, an abnormal patient like Park Suho was truly worthy of attention. While sitting in the taxi, Park Suho overheard a news report. It announced that at 3:00 p.m. that day at an unenclosed hunting ground near Hongcheon, Gangwon Province, monsters had overrun the area due to a miscalculation of a dungeon break. The situation was tense, so the Minister of National Defense had urgently dispatched the Army and Air Force. They successfully brought the situation under control after 50 minutes. However, the military suffered heavy losses, 2 tanks were destroyed, and 12 soldiers and awakened were killed. The news then switched to the SPF tournament, a fierce clash between the world's top S-rank superheroes. The match currently being broadcast was between the world's 34th-ranked Mikhail Ivanov, nicknamed the Russian Bear, and the world's 48th-ranked Beyond Horizon. The winner of this match would have a chance to challenge the world's #1 ranker hero from Japan for the championship title. Although Park Suho couldn't fully process the information, he was listening intently. Dr. Kim had briefly mentioned that the world had changed a lot after the Great Cataclysm, turning Earth into a completely different place. "If I were an awakened, I would definitely quit this poor job and go hunting in the grounds," the taxi driver said, noticing his passenger's interest. "Huh. There are hunting grounds in Seoul, too?" Park Suho asked. The driver looked at him with pity, then clicked his tongue, figuring Park Suho must have suffered a serious head injury. At Suho's urging, the driver began to explain what had happened over the last 10 years. After the Great Cataclysm, gates to other worlds opened not just in Korea, but all over the globe. That was the day the dimensions converged, connecting Earth to many other worlds and leading to an invasion by monsters from those realms. On that day alone, Earth lost 10% of its population. The military alone wasn't enough to stop the monsters appearing everywhere. In places short on manpower, mercenaries were deployed. Those who disappeared during the Great Cataclysm and later returned came to be known as the Awakened. They were granted mercenary licenses and the right to hunt monsters. These Awakened formed guilds and started making money by hunting in designated hunting grounds or inside dungeons. Hearing this, Park Suho felt both intrigued and excited. "A license? How do you become a mercenary?" Seeing his serious expression, the taxi driver just grunted. "Well, for ordinary people like us, it's a bit difficult. First, you have to awaken. Then you need to pass the mercenary test from the Awakened Management Bureau. And for someone who had lived a wild existence for 1,000 years, these matters seemed complicated enough to give him a headache." After a while longer, the taxi arrived. Park Suho walked towards the house the driver pointed out. On the 2nd floor, an old woman was cleaning the window. Seeing him standing below, she asked, "Who are you?" "What do you want?" "I'm here to see Junho," Park Suho replied. At this, the old woman's face twisted into a very cranky expression. After a long pause, she snapped, "This little brat still wet behind the ears, and you dare speak so informally to an elder? Tisk, there's no one named Junho here. Get lost, you punk." With that, she slammed the window shut. Park Suho was completely bewildered, thinking he had come to the wrong house. But then he heard voices from inside. "Damn loan sharks. They keep bothering us every day." "Grandma, are those scary uncles coming again?" Another younger voice asked nervously. "It's okay, Jianwoo. Let's go eat." Sigh, what a cruel world. What did a child like this do to deserve this? Their father works day and night, but the debt just keeps piling up. "Is Dad a debtor?" the younger voice asked innocently. "No, of course not. Now hurry up and eat." Park Suho had heard everything. He curiously approached the house and pulled a letter from the mailbox. It was filled with debt collection notices addressed to Park Junho. He couldn't believe that after 1,000 years, he would find his brother trapped in a situation like this. Park Suho walked away dazed. In the wild world, strength was the law. But the laws on Earth were far more complex. If strength was absolute in the wilderness, then in this civilized society, money was power. And in that moment, he made a crucial decision: he would become a mercenary. However, the harsh reality was that Park Suho's application to join was swiftly rejected. The reason was that although he was classified as an F-rank awakened, he was short 4 awakening points. "How can that be? I came here through a gate just 2 weeks ago." The receptionist just laughed. "An ordinary person would be torn to shreds passing through a gate. Are you delusional or something?" "Go home and daydream," the female employee said, not bothering to hide her contempt. She then offered him a piece of advice: go to an awakening school or earn points on a battlefield. Then he could come back when he was a real awakened. Park Suho left the building sighing repeatedly. This system was just too complicated. He then happened to see a bounty notice. The mission was to eliminate goblins that had appeared in the Suwon area. Without a second thought, Park Suho immediately hailed a taxi. On the way, he saw a very high wall and asked the driver out of curiosity, "How far does this high wall stretch?" "It surrounds all of Seoul. You should really look at a map app." "A map app? You didn't download one." The driver looked at him like he was a caveman. "Seoul is now divided into 12 zones with over 100 gates for travel and dozens more leading to battlefields." Park Suho frowned. It seemed he needed to buy a smartphone immediately. Soon the car arrived. The driver stopped at Gate 27 of the Suwon area. Looking at the massive gate, Park Suho couldn't hide his skepticism. If he walked through it, would he really enter a hunting zone called a battlefield? 2 soldiers were guarding the gate. As soon as they saw Park Suho approaching, they asked, "What are you here for?" "Hunting," Park Suho replied bluntly. His attitude clearly annoyed the 2 soldiers, but they held back and asked to see his license. At this, he shook his head. He didn't have one. The other soldier was stunned, then informed him that ordinary people were forbidden from entering the battlefield. Just as Park Suho was about to say something else, an alarm bell suddenly rang, accompanied by the panicked shouts of other soldiers. "Close the exit! It's too late!" At that moment, a military vehicle sped out of the battlefield like crazy. The driver was being attacked by a monster, causing the vehicle to lose control and crash wildly. Immediately, other soldiers called for an emergency response team while they cautiously approached the overturned vehicle. The monster inside seemed to have finished with its target because it shattered the window and lunged out. Its appearance was utterly nauseating. The soldiers seemed accustomed to this situation, their guns at the ready. As soon as the monster appeared, they opened fire. After a relentless barrage of bullets, the monster was finally dealt with. Only then did they have time to notice Park Suho, only to find he had disappeared. They all assumed he had run away in fear. Who would have guessed that Park Suho had already entered the battlefield? He stood atop a ruined building looking out at the desolate city. A nameless chill rose in his heart. He couldn't believe the beautiful city he had lived in 1,000 years ago had turned into this. Night fell quickly. Darkness was a familiar environment for Park Suho. In the dark, his senses became much sharper. It's time to hunt. He leaped from the top of the building, landing perfectly. He ran at full speed, then tried a graceful jump. What he had just demonstrated was far beyond the capabilities of a normal person, Yet Park Suho was still dissatisfied. His body felt almost weightless. Is this an effect of returning? He wondered. It felt as if a large portion of his power had been nerfed. Standing on high ground again, Park Suho began to use his keen sense of smell. He quickly located his enemy. He leaped down once more, moving at top speed towards the location he had pinpointed. There, a white wolf was surrounded by several armed monsters. It was heavily injured. Park Suho emerged from the shadows. The wolf's eyes locked onto him. Park Suho recognized the look. It was a plea for help. Seeing it being attacked by the mob of monsters, he couldn't just stand by. All right then, let's make these guys my first prey back on Earth. Park Suho attacked from behind, but even if he hadn't ambushed them, these minions were no match for him. The feeling was exhilarating. After he eliminated the entire mob of monsters, a series of system windows appeared in front of him. They read, "Searching for your class," along with a spinning loading icon. But then a series of red letters appeared announcing a system error. Park Suho impatiently waved his hand, trying to dismiss the windows. Just then, more monsters arrived, each one baring its sharp teeth, eager to take a bite out of him. But Park Suho gave them no chance. Every punch he threw was worth its weight in gold, felling one monster with each blow. It could even be said that he was toying with them. His attacks were so effortless, completely lacking the pressure of a life-or-death battle. At this point, the system windows popped up again, displaying a critical error. It couldn't re-establish his stats, nor could it acquire any class skills for him. It was then that he remembered something. Back in the other world, he had also possessed a system from the very first day. But about 100 years ago, he had almost stopped receiving any stat increase notifications because his body had been trained to its absolute limit. It seemed Earth had this status board system as well, and Park Suho suspected that this system error was the reason his abilities had weakened upon his return. Permissions granted. Open item shop. Park Suho suddenly received a new notification. His eyes widened in surprise. He had never received this kind of message before. Is this what awakening an ability means? Out of curiosity, he immediately pressed the open button. An equipment shop appeared before him, but the items were quite poor. Water for 1 point and bread for 2 points. His total available points were a mere 7. It seemed that with his measly 7 points, he could only buy these things. Curious, he made a purchase. A fresh loaf of bread and a bottle of water appeared before him like magic. But this was no time to eat and drink. He remembered the white wolf. It was dying. It seemed the monster's weapons were coated in poison. The wolf looked at him with pleading eyes, then let out a few broken whimpers. He realized it was entrusting its young cub to him. This felt like fate. 1,000 years ago, he had become an ally to the wolves by saving the Wolf King's son. In the end, the white wolf couldn't be saved. Seeing its tiny cub, Park Suho couldn't bring himself to leave it. He took out the bread and water and fed it. There had been 7 monsters in total. It seemed he still needed to find a vehicle. After a long night, the sun rose. Park Suho had given the mother wolf a proper burial. The pup nestled in his arms had slept soundly. Now they had to move on. Park Suho slung the corpses of the monsters he had killed over his shoulder and headed towards the exit gate. Here, other hunters were driving out in a long queue, the process closely monitored by soldiers. Maintain distance from the vehicle in front and remember to go to the decontamination room before heading to the collection counter, a soldier shouted. The hunters were getting irritated by the traffic jam. As they grumbled, Park Suho suddenly appeared. He quickly became the center of attention, carrying a whole pack of monsters on his shoulder. What the hell is he so broke he has to carry the corpses like that? More importantly, did he take down all those monsters by himself? The crowd whispered. Park Suho pretended not to notice the chatter around him. He walked straight to the collection counter. 7 goblins are worth $3,500 plus 3 bloodstones for $600, minus a $2,000 fee for decontamination and veterinary care for the pup. Your total comes to $100. Bloodstones? Park Suho asked curiously. The female employee showed him a blood-red crystal. We found these in the goblins' chests. The price depends on the energy stored in each one. Given the size of the 3 you found, they're worth about $200 each. Since Park Suho didn't have a bank account, the employee gave him cash. She also added, "You seem quite professional. If you register as a mercenary, it'll be much more convenient to make money." Park Suho held the thick wad of cash feeling a bit surreal. It seemed that if he could register as a mercenary, getting rich by conquering dungeons would only be a matter of time. Meanwhile, at Park Junho's apartment complex, he had just returned from landing a new job as a truck driver. The kind people in the neighborhood knew about his situation. Even the convenience store owner gave him an extra Kit Kat to take home for his son. His new job was a bit dangerous as it required him to go out to the hunting grounds, but the pay was very good. For that reason, Park Junho was very happy. His hopes of paying off his debt were rekindled. But when he returned home, he was ambushed by a group of thugs. The soju and the new Kit Kat in his bag scattered everywhere. "Long time no see, Junho. I was afraid you'd run off." Park Junho then received a brutal beating. He couldn't fight back. All he could do was endure it silently, listening to the curses while getting hit. "You bastard! Do you know how many times I've had to come here?" the leader of the thugs said arrogantly, striking him with a weapon in his hand. "I'm sorry. I was away because I was working at the hunting grounds," Park Junho said, trying to suppress the pain. He then pulled out a wad of cash. "This is the payment for this month's loan and the accrued interest. A total of $2,400. Please spare me." The thug took the cash, started counting, and then clicked his tongue. "Let's see. The loan is $1, $600 accrued interest is $1, $200, plus the fee for coming to your house to collect, and the laundry fee for 4 days. Too bad you're still a little short." They were clearly trying to extort him, but all Park Junho could do was clench his teeth, endure it, and apologize. He bowed his head, tears streaming down his face, and promised to find a way to pay the remaining amount within 3 days. For that, he received another painful blow. "You bastard! Do you know how much the interest will be in 3 days if you dare lie to me again?" Just then, someone called out Park Junho's name, interrupting the thug. It was Park Suho with the little pup who had returned. Park Junho turned his head and was stunned to see the brother he thought he had lost long ago. He called out in disbelief, "Hyung!" Having witnessed his younger brother being brutally beaten, Park Suho looked like he was about to commit murder. He slowly walked over and knelt on one knee to be at eye level with his brother. "You're Junho right," he confirmed. His appearance completely shocked Park Junho. In his old memories, he had always been the one being bullied in high school, but Park Suho, his own brother, had never once lifted a finger to help even when he saw him being beaten up. Then, on an afternoon in 2015, news of a large, unexplained explosion in Seocho-dong Mapogu, which then spread throughout the country, was broadcast on TV. Park Junho was home alone. The doorbell suddenly rang. He rushed to open it, but the person at the door wasn't his parents or Park Suho. It was his uncle. "Junho, you're still home. I can't get in touch with your parents. And where's Suho? We need to leave right now," they urged frantically. At that moment, the wall behind them was smashed by something, sending Park Junho flying. The apartment building was torn apart. Through the shattered wall, he could see a pair of hideous eyes. That was the first day he, along with many others, had to accept that the world had turned into hell. But whether Park Suho was gone or not, it had nothing to do with him. That's who his brother was to him back then. And now, here he was again. The two brothers reunited under these circumstances. Park Junho thought he had no feelings for his uncaring older brother, but now he felt a sting in his nose. "Hyung, I thought you were gone. How did you—" The thug, impatient, cut off their conversation. "Have you been hit so much you've gone crazy? This young kid is your older brother." And it was true. Park Junho had aged 10 years, and due to a hard life, looked older than his age. Park Suho, on the other hand, hadn't changed at all in his 1,000 years in the other world. So now Junho looked more like the older brother. Being interrupted so abruptly annoyed Park Suho immensely. He grabbed the bastard's hair and slammed his head into the ground. He hadn't even used a fraction of his strength yet. It was enough to send the thug rolling on the ground several times before passing out. Seeing their boss knocked out cold, the remaining thugs went berserk. "Are you hurt anywhere?" Park Suho asked his brother with concern. No, I'm fine." Seeing Park Suho ignoring them, the debt collectors charged. One of them aggressively aimed a kick at him. Park Suho didn't even bother to dodge. He sat as firm as a rock, causing the attacker to break his own leg from the impact. He rolled on the ground in pain, clutching his leg and screaming. Now only one thug was left standing, but he didn't dare to attack, assuming Park Suho was an awakened. "Come here!" Park Suho beckoned to him. The man immediately panicked, waving his hands frantically. "What, I didn't hit him," he pleaded. "Really, I swear I didn't hit him." But Park Suho didn't intend to hit him. He just placed the $2 $100 he had just earned on the ground and told him to take the money. "Take it. Get out of here and never bother my brother again." The thug was stunned for a moment. After taking the money, he bowed low and said clearly, "Thank you, sir." Park Suho then pulled his brother away. They returned to Junho's apartment building and met the old woman who had yelled at him the day before. She looked Park Suho up and down, then asked suspiciously, "Is he really your older brother?" "Yes, he's my older brother," Junho said with a smile. Park Suho then approached the old woman and gave her a bag of beef. Taking the bag, she seemed remorseful. "Really? If he's really your brother, you should have told me sooner. Hurry up and go inside. The little one waited for his dad to come home until he fell asleep." Park Suho followed his brother upstairs. It was the first time he had met Gyeon-woo, his nephew. Junho explained that the boy's mother had left to find a new life because he had no prospects and was drowning in debt. Seeing his brother so burdened, Park Suho suggested they go for a few drinks. After so many years apart, they had a lot to talk about. Junho expressed his amazement at his brother's sudden appearance, looking just like the awakened he saw on TV and not having aged a day. Park Suho, however, was only concerned about how much his brother owed. "About 50,000 won. I'm fine. Whatever happens now, I'll get through it," Junho replied. It sounded casual, but Suho knew his brother's life wasn't easy. "So, what do you do for a living now?" "A freelance driver. Long-haul driving isn't common in this city because it's so dangerous, but the pay is good." Junho explained that the truck he was driving was lent to him by the landlady's son who had passed away suddenly. Because of that, the landlady now treated him and Jeon-woo like family. Though the old woman seemed cranky, she was their benefactor. Just then, Gyeon-woo woke up because the little pup was constantly licking his face. He peeked outside and seeing his father was back got so excited that he ran out carrying the pup with one hand. "Dad!" he exclaimed, then turned to look at Suho with a shy expression. "Who is this Hyung?" "Ah, that's your uncle. Say hello," Junho said. Jeon-woo obediently greeted his young-looking uncle, then asked if he could play with the puppy. Park Suho, of course, agreed. Seeing his son beaming with joy next to the little pup, Junho was incredibly happy. "This is great. Jeon-woo has wanted a dog for a long time." Seeing his nephew so happy, Suho decided not to reveal that the pup was actually a wolf for now. He returned to the main issue and suggested they work together to earn money. Specifically, he would handle the monster hunting, and Junho, with his driving skills, would use the truck to clean up the battlefield. The next day, Park Suho returned to the Awakened Management Bureau. The female employee who had looked down on him yesterday was now wide-eyed with surprise. Park Suho had officially become an F-rank Awakened. He could now use his Awakened ID to open an account and make transactions. They also gave him a new smartphone as a token of appreciation for successfully registering as a mercenary. "Excellent!" Suho exclaimed. This was exactly what he needed. The employee explained that he would receive a hunter inspection schedule and hunting information if he registered on the Bureau's app. When he accumulated enough resources from hunting and successfully ranked up to E rank, he would receive more bonuses and benefits. "Oh, by the way, do you know how to open your status window?" the employee asked. "We've been doing some maintenance lately because the system has been a bit buggy." Park Suho tried to open his status window. The result was a bit disappointing. His stats had been significantly reduced. It seemed he had to start a new grind all over again. After leaving the bureau, Park Suho immediately called his brother. Junho was driving at the time. Seeing his brother had a new phone number, he immediately guessed he had successfully registered as a mercenary. They had agreed that after Junho finished his last delivery, they would go monster hunting together. But since Park Suho was only an F-rank Awakened, Junho was very concerned that hunting monsters might be too much for his brother. "Anyway, we have to pay off your debt first," Park Suho said, then abruptly hung up. Park Junho felt a sense of unreality. After returning, he no longer recognized his brother. His personality was a complete 180. Meanwhile, Park Suho had already found his way to the Namyangju gate following the information on the management app. At that moment, a car carrying 3 young awakened was heading in. They all looked quite tense. Their goal today was to pass a mission to officially join the Gwasal Guild. The 2 people in the front seats were from Gwasal, responsible for supervising them. The scowling man in the passenger seat was annoyed by the sight of people and cars streaming into the gate. Damn obstacles. You talentless hacks only here for the prize money dare to come here, he thought with a superior tone. Park Suho had now arrived to register. Seeing that he was alone and only an F-rank awakened, the soldier in charge couldn't help but remind him, "You know each battlefield has a hunter limit, right? And you are absolutely forbidden from entering the dungeon area." Park Suho nodded to show he understood and proceeded inside. The 2 soldiers guarding the gate watched him go, still finding it hard to believe. He wasn't even carrying a single piece of equipment. Although Park Suho had gained some notoriety for single-handedly catching 7 goblins at Gate 27 yesterday, they still felt he was being too reckless. He had also caught the eye of the arrogant old man in the car with the young awakened. The man didn't believe Suho could hunt without a single weapon. Out of curiosity, he ordered Han Sang-jin, the awakened, in the driver's seat to speed up and follow Park Suho. The car shot forward, but strangely, Park Suho, who had been walking slowly just a second before, had now vanished at the end of the tunnel. Han Sang-jin even stuck his head out the window looking everywhere, but there was no trace of him. Meanwhile, the arrogant old man suddenly smiled. He felt like he was about to catch a big fish. They couldn't catch Park Suho because he had sped up to test his stamina. When his heart felt like it was about to stop, he finally stopped, accepting that his stamina had weakened significantly. "Looks like I'll have to step up my training," he thought. While he was still catching his breath, he suddenly heard the clash of swords along with a sharp curse clearer than any he'd heard before. "You son of a bitch, you want to die early." Park Suho looked in the direction of the voice, suddenly feeling a surge of excitement. It was a duel between awakened. It seemed he couldn't miss this. He found a high vantage point to observe. He saw 3 awakened in blue being surrounded by 9 others in brown uniforms. One of the 9 had just had his hand chopped off. The 3 in blue were in a tight defensive formation, clearly at a disadvantage. Suddenly, a blue car pulled up. A tall figure stepped out. Before his face could be seen, his shouting voice arrived first. "I brought you guys along to work like this. You're taking too long to deal with these guys." The 3 surrounded awakened immediately recognized the man. He was Choi Guishik, a C-rank bandit with a 4,001 bounty on his head. Park Suho found the fight uninteresting and was about to leave, but when he heard about the 4,001 bounty, he froze. "It's Choi Guishik." The 3 awakened immediately became terrified. "Who the hell gave you permission to call our boss's name so casually?" one of the brown-clad men retorted. "That's right, I'm Choi Guishik with a 4,001 bounty. Come and get me if you're so tough," the bandit leader boasted, standing among his men. The 3 awakened, already at a disadvantage, became even more panicked after Choi Guishik's appearance. But they didn't want to leave behind all the spoils they had just worked so hard to earn for these bandits. Seeing their hesitation, Choi Guishik charged forward to attack. At that moment, Park Suho leaped from his position and landed squarely on the ground, blocking the path between Choi Guishik and the 3 awakened. The sudden appearance of an unrelated person made both sides pause. "Who the hell are you, you crazy bastard?" Choi Guishik asked, shaking his slicked-back hair. "You said you're worth 4,001. Park Suho replied with another question. "So what? What do you want?" "I want the money," he answered bluntly. Choi Guishik's men saw that Park Suho was alone, yet dared to be so bold in front of their boss. They were sure today was his last day on Earth. But the C-rank bandit leader just laughed loudly. "You don't look like you're from the Bureau. You'd be better off not meddling in my business. But it's too late now." Suddenly, Park Suho felt his body go stiff. His expression was calm, but he was actually a little panicked. Seeing this, Choi Guishik took a step forward, closing the distance between them. He then smugly pointed at his own eyes and declared, "You looked into my eyes for more than 5 seconds. Now you can't move." With that, without even lifting a finger, he ordered his men to seize him. The minions immediately rushed forward, swords raised. But when they were about 3 steps away from Park Suho, they all froze, witnessing an unbelievable sight. He could move, and he swung his fist straight into Choi Gui-shik's face. Although the punch didn't do much damage, the mere fact that he could move was astounding. Even Choi Gui-shik was shocked. "Is this your magic?" he sneered. Park Suho suddenly burst out laughing. "This is quite interesting, isn't it?" He then quickly threw another punch. Choi Gui-shik, horrified, realized he was not an easy opponent and once again used his sealing technique. Park Suho froze again. Seizing the opportunity, Choi Gui-shik drew the dagger from his waist. But he had only half drawn it when he was hit again this time, taking Park Suho's knee straight to the face, leaving him a bloody mess. "Besides that so-called seal, don't you have anything more useful?" Park Suho said contemptuously. Choi Gui-shik was in so much pain he couldn't open his eyes, but he persisted in using his ultimate move. Unfortunately, on the 3rd try, just as he said the word seal, before he could finish, Suho's fist arrived. Each of his blows was powerful, leaving his opponent seeing stars. A flurry of punches followed. The bandit leader, though several ranks higher and much larger than Park Suho, could only take the hits without being able to retaliate. Finally, in a humiliating display, Park Suho threw him to the ground. He rolled on the ground, crashing into and breaking a nearby window. Everyone present couldn't help but gape in astonishment. "How boring," Park Suho commented. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that Suho could handle Choi Gui-shik, and with such an effortless air. How could a master like this be completely unknown? After throwing Choi Gui-shik down, Park Suho turned around. He saw that the man's subordinates still had their swords pointed at him. "You guys still want to fight?" he asked. Immediately, the whole group came to their senses and sheathed their weapons. They weren't stupid. There was no way they were going to fight someone so unbelievably strong. Park Suho ordered them to line up on one side, and the whole group obediently complied, wanting to save their own skins. He then turned to the 3 awakened and asked if anyone had a rope. "Yes, I have one," the leader of the group said cheerfully. Park Suho nodded, then turned back to Choi Gui-shik's men and asked how much their bounties were. If they were worth anything, he would just round them all up to save time. The group looked at each other in panic, then shook their heads vigorously, desperately explaining that besides Choi Gui-shik, who was worth 4,001, they were all nobodies with no bounties. "Please spare us. Just catching Choi Gui-shik is enough to make you a rich man." Choi Gui-shik, who had just regained consciousness, happened to hear this. He was so angry, he started to cry. Park Suho tied his hands and feet tightly. Choi Gui-shik lay on the ground, staring at his subordinates and muttering curses. "You traitors! You followed me for so long, ate your fill, and you dare do this to me!" Hearing the noise, Park Suho turned his head. "You just got up." Choi Gui-shik's men were terrified. They were afraid this new boss would get angry and use them as punching bags, so they started cursing their former boss. "Stay down, you bastard! Go to hell, you trash!" Park Suho then turned back to them. "So I don't need you guys anymore, right?" Right, we're useless." The whole group nodded eagerly, hoping he would let them go. But this plan was foiled when the awakened from behind shouted that they were lying. All of them were criminals. If he turned them in, he could get a reward. "Oh!" Park Suho said, and that single sound made the scoundrels' hearts leap into their throats again. "Hey, Sir Hero!" Choi Gui-shik, tied up tightly, suddenly spoke up from behind. "Aren't you annoyed by the rules of this city? This place is the true land of freedom. If you let me go, I'll help you live like a king." It was a tempting offer, and Park Suho responded by kicking him squarely in the face. A shoe print immediately appeared on Choi Gui-shik's face, and he passed out again. After silencing him, it was time to get back to business. After confirming that the bandit leader's subordinates were also wanted criminals, Park Suho decided to round them all up. The only problem was that there were too many of them, and he didn't know how to bring them all back. "You can just use our car," the awakened man suggested again. "Oh, you have a car." With the transportation issue solved, Park Suho knocked them all out, tied them up, and loaded them onto the 3 awakened's truck. On the way back, they kept thanking him. Even though Park Suho had helped them for his own reasons, it was still true that he had saved their lives. "My life is yours now, benefactor," the two in the back seat exclaimed. "It's not that big of a deal," Park Suho said, too lazy to engage with them. He leaned against the window, pretending to sleep. But after a while, the man in the driver's seat struck up a conversation. He asked what Suho's superpower was, then introduced his own skills. Pursuit, swordsmanship, and exploration. Swordsmanship was the skill he got upon awakening, while pursuit and exploration were learned from skill books. "Oh, so you can learn magic from skill books?" Park Suho asked casually. But his question stunned the other man. How could a master fighter like this be so clueless as to not even know what a skill book was? Park Suho, on the other hand, couldn't stop thinking about Choi Gui-shik's sealing technique. It seemed that living in a society full of awakened was very different from living in a forest with wild beasts. He needed to equip himself with some new combat skills instead of just his usual fighting techniques. The truck continued on, and Park Suho saw a glowing wall. He asked the person next to him, "Is that a gate?" "Ah, yes. That's a dungeon, a hunting ground for B rankers at level 1. That was supposed to be our destination." "What a shame," Park Suho sighed. "If I had a hunter's license, I'd have to try it out." His words shocked the other man again. "What? You don't have a hunter's license yet?" Park Suho lazily nodded. The awakened man's eyebrows furrowed. When dungeon gates opened, the military was the first to clear them, leaving behind smaller monsters in the hunting grounds. These monsters were an opportunity for hunters at level 1 dungeon gates to rank up to E rank. To continue leveling up, they had to hunt bigger monsters and take their energy and levels. Then the hunters would have to move on to level 2 dungeons. But the noteworthy thing was that someone who wasn't even allowed to enter a level 1 dungeon like Park Suho could easily defeat a C-rank Choi Gui-shik. This puzzled the man endlessly. Park Suho sensed the other man staring at him and asked, "Is there something you want to say?" The man hesitated. "Forgive me for being rude, but may I ask what your rank is?" "F rank," Park Suho said bluntly. His answer nearly made the man drive off a cliff. "All right, don't be so surprised. Because I'm F rank, I have a favor to ask you." At that moment, from inside the level 1 dungeon, the 3 young awakened had completed their mission, but they were all injured, one of them quite severely. Han Sang-jin and the scowling old man as their supervisors were with them. The old man's face was clearly filled with displeasure. "Damn it, they're handing out licenses too easily these days. We need to tighten up the process, starting with the interview department that selected these pieces of trash for the final round." "Captain, calm down first." Han Sang-jin quickly tried to defuse the situation. "It's all people like this these days. You know the situation with Gwasil right now." The reason he was so annoyed was that these days, if their parents had a little money, these young brats could easily become awakened. Through brokers, they would buy live captured monsters at high prices, tie them up, and then leisurely stab and slash them to awaken. Then they just had to enter a dungeon, hire experienced hunters to tag along and leech off their efforts to level up. Finally, they would officially join Gwasil and take on missions. Because of this loophole, people with no combat ability could enter and exit dungeons, and their teammates would be the ones to suffer the consequences. "Captain, calm down. How about we go for a few drinks?" Han Sang-jin said, trying to change the subject as he saw the captain's expression worsening. "But why is it so chaotic around this level 1 dungeon that's about to disappear?" "I don't know what's going on either," the scowling man said, then went to talk to a soldier with the rank of captain. "Ah, Captain Kang Min-hyuk." Captain Kang recognized him immediately. "What's all the commotion here?" Kang Min-hyuk asked. Captain Kang recounted with excitement that an awakened had just caught 10 bandits here, including a rather famous C-rank bandit leader named Choi Gui-shik. Hearing this, the man's expression changed. Choi Gui-shik. Was it a high-rank awakened who came here? This time, Captain Kang shook his head vigorously. He said that the person who caught the bandits was just an F rank, nobody who wasn't even qualified to apply for a license yet. Hearing this, Kang Min-hyuk was even more surprised and immediately asked, "How could he do that?" "I don't know either. According to the witnesses, he just took them down with his fists. That bastard Choi Gui-shik, when he was brought out, had a broken nose, a fractured cheekbone, and 4 broken ribs. Hearing Captain Kang's description, Kang Min-hyuk suddenly thought of someone, the young man who had gone hunting alone without even a weapon, whom he had seen outside the gate. Kang Min-hyuk eagerly asked Captain Kang where the young man was now, then immediately ran in that direction. He wanted to check Park Suho out for himself. If he really had the ability, he wouldn't hesitate to use any means to reel in this big fish for himself. Without further delay, Min-hyuk ran towards a military vehicle, shouting, "Emergency! Emergency!" Hearing the loud voice, the others didn't understand what was happening. He continued, "Emergency!" This time, someone from inside the vehicle asked, "Captain Kang, what is it?" Min-hyuk immediately replied, "I heard the young man who just caught Choi Guishik went into the gate, right?" The man in the car looked bewildered. "Huh, what?" He tried to ask more, "Which gate number?" At the same time, on Suho's side, he and another awakened had entered the gate. His face showed clear surprise. "Oh, it really doesn't hurt. My clothes didn't disappear either." The other awakened smiled. "If it weren't for products made from multidimensional energy, we couldn't pass through this gate. Also, because these clothes are made from materials found in dungeons, they can pass through. They may look normal, but they cost over 2 million won." Hearing this, Suho suddenly froze, glancing behind him. "What's that?" he asked. The man explained, "They call it a door. With these doors, we can travel to 388 dungeons. The one we're going through leads to dungeon 24. As he finished speaking, the door suddenly exploded and vanished. "The door disappeared?" Suho asked in surprise. The awakened replied, "It'll open when we clear the dungeon." "Clear it? You mean kill all the monsters in here?" Suho asked, still not quite understanding. No, you just need to catch the strongest one." After the thorough explanation, Suho began to stretch. "Thanks. I'll be right back. You wait here." Hearing this, the man exclaimed in surprise, "Wait, what do you mean, wait?" But before he could finish, Suho's foot pushed off the ground, and in the blink of an eye, his body vanished, leaving the other awakened, standing there alone, stunned. "What's wrong with him? Does he think he just needs to hear about it?" He quickly dismissed the thought. No. If he's strong enough to catch a C-rank Choi Guishik, could he shorten the time to clear this dungeon? The awakened man's face suddenly went blank, his eyes wide. But he doesn't have the exploration skill. If he can't find the door's location after clearing the monsters and get back in time, oh my God, we'll be trapped and die with the dungeon. Without another thought, he immediately rushed off to search. Back outside the dungeon, news of Suho was still being investigated. "This!" a soldier exclaimed. "What is it?" Min-hyuk asked in surprise. He glanced back and replied, "Door 24 just closed." This news made Min-hyuk's face change. He gritted his teeth and cursed, "Damn it!" Back in the dungeon, in a forest shrouded in a purple mist, a series of sharp-clawed feet appeared. They belonged to bizarre, hideous monsters brandishing weapons. As they walked, one of them suddenly noticed something. It bared its sharp teeth, but before it could understand what was happening, it was hit by a powerful force and knocked to the ground. The other monsters, seeing their comrade ambushed, became enraged and roared. But a moment later, they suffered the same fate, receiving a surprise kick that sent them tumbling to the ground. A figure swiftly appeared, his rapid steps suddenly halting. The one who had attacked was none other than Suho. He bent down and picked up a dagger from the ground. Then he slowly approached and slit the monster's belly. Red blood splattered everywhere. The foul smell made Suho feel extremely uncomfortable. He frowned. "Ugh, this smell." After a bit of searching, he pulled a bright red stone from the monster's body. He looked pleased. "1 bloodstone for every 3 monsters. If I convert this to prize money, I should have earned enough," Suho mumbled to himself, looking at the screen in front of him. But the more important thing was leveling up. A while later, the other awakened finally caught up, but he couldn't find Suho. He only saw the ground littered with monster corpses. "Huh? He already?" he exclaimed in astonishment. He began to use his ability, his pupils glowing white. Pursuit, he thought. As his perception expanded, he finally found him. Over on Suho's side, the system window appeared before him. Level 1, Name Park Suho Class, Druid Attainment 102. The system screen continued. Tame wild beast druid. Acquired intimacy. 10. Beast form. Summon plant. Spirit. Druid. Acquired intimacy. 10. Beast form. Looking through it, Suho said, "With 102 attainment points I can buy 2 skills." Without thinking, he pressed the screen. Tame wild beast. Each beast has a different beast form stat. If the total number of beasts is exceeded, they sometimes lose control. He said with satisfaction, "Good. For now with this..." Before he could finish, 2 monsters jumped down from above, ambushing him. But they were no match for Suho. He stood still, unmoving, his sharp eyes glancing up. He immediately struck the monster's snout, dislocating its jaw. He grabbed both of them and sent them on a roller coaster ride, finishing them off with 2 fatal blows too fast for the naked eye to see. The system then displayed a notification, attainment plus 54. Suho was thrilled. He hit the monster one more time and exclaimed, "Leveled up." But his joy was short-lived as another message appeared, "Fatal error. Data conflict. Proceeding with data supplementation and synchronization until the limit is reached." "What is this? Why is it synchronizing?" he asked in surprise. The system screen now read, Level 2. Name Park Suho Class Druid. Attainment 345 stats. Muscle 135 stamina. 151 intellect, 99 recovery, 90 healing, 88 harmony, 17 wildness, 44 agility, 127. Reading through it, he asked himself in disappointment, the stats only increased this little. He continued to press the screen. First, I'll use 100p to buy the plant spirit skill. The screen displayed summon plant spirit, harmony, intimacy, beast form. A system voice announced, skill acquired. Eager Suho decided to test the summon plant spirit skill immediately. A series of faint lights floated up in front of him with a small orb in the center. From the orb, a small fairy with wings on her back emerged. The sight of a swarm of fairies flying around surprised Suho. "It's real. I thought plant spirits were just some flying insects." He then ordered the spirits, "Find the remaining goblins." On his command, the spirits turned and flew off, creating a large beam of light that shone on the surrounding trees. Seeing this, Suho exclaimed, "So this is how all the memories of the plants are transmitted into my brain. But why is it so slow? Is it because my level is too low?" He then shouted, "Status window skills." The system screen quickly appeared. After reviewing the skills, he mumbled, "Exploration and pursuit." He then immediately pressed the screen. "I'll use the remaining points to buy all these skills." A voice announced, "Skill acquired. Skill acquired." After being equipped with the new skills, he slowly bent down and lightly touched the ground with his hand, his eyes closed, sensing everything. As Suho said, "Exploration," a white light emanated from him, spreading everywhere. Suddenly, his expression turned disappointed. "The terrain and objects here..." He paused, his eyes brightened, and he exclaimed, "Pursuit." After a moment, he only received useless information about the goblins that had died earlier. He suddenly sensed something unusual. He looked up suspiciously. Next to him was a forest with a strange aura covered in white mist. "That thing," he mumbled. A smile appeared on his face. "It's not a goblin, is it?" Without another word, Suho darted into the forest, heading towards the mysterious creature. He moved swiftly, without hesitation. After going some distance, he stopped at a large rock. His eyes showed considerable surprise. Right in front of him, the other awakened was being attacked by a monster in a precarious situation. But Suho didn't rush to save him. Instead, he asked, "What are you doing?" Hearing the familiar voice, the man looked up and stammered, "You're here." "Didn't I say I would hunt alone?" Suho continued. The man struggled to explain, "Ugh, I'm the one being hunted." Hearing this, Suho smiled. "Ah, so that's how it is." The situation was becoming more and more dangerous. The man was about to be overwhelmed. He glanced at Suho and shouted, "Help me!" Before he could understand what was happening, a figure appeared like a flash of lightning. Suho kicked the monster's shield hard. Caught by surprise, it couldn't react and stumbled backward. But it quickly regained its senses, took a step back, and charged at Suho with its sword. Unfortunately for it, before it could do anything, it was kicked again. Its body was sent flying, crashing into a large rock behind it, shattering the rock. Suho didn't stop there. He rushed towards the monster, which had already lost its teeth and was a bloody mess, growling. Suho's steps got closer. He immediately jumped into the air, his hand gripping his sword tightly. A loud noise echoed, and he officially sent the monster to its grave. A notification appeared, leveled up. Acquired 120 attainment points. He smiled with satisfaction. These points are really good. The entire scene was witnessed by the other awakened, his face showing pure bewilderment. After dealing with the boss, Suho smiled and asked, "The door is open now, right?" The man was startled and stammered, "Ah, yes, it's open." A while later, both of them walked out of the gate unscathed. Seeing him emerge, the military personnel were surprised and froze. They asked each other, "Is that the guy who caught Choi Gui-shik?" "Yes, it is. Captain Kang is looking for him." Hearing this, the person inside the vehicle immediately exclaimed, "Oh, he asked us to contact him if he showed up." The person outside asked in confusion, "What's going on?" After checking something, his expression became even more surprised. "Is the time he took to clear this dungeon for real?" His teammate standing next to him was stunned. "Huh? What?" Meanwhile, over at Suho's location, the awakened man said cheerfully, "I have to go find my teammates. I'll call you later, Hyungnim." "Yeah, you worked hard. I'll leave the clothes and items in the storage room," Suho replied. He then went to the storage room to put away his things. A moment later, the door slowly opened and Suho stepped out, now changed into a more comfortable outfit. "I'm hungry," he murmured. But as soon as he said it, he froze his eyes, showing a hint of surprise. A person walked up to him. "Hello, Park Suho." "Who are you?" he asked calmly. "I'm Kang Min-hyuk, captain of Gwasil's 27th Command Team. May I have a word with you?" A while later, at a nearby cafe, the two sat talking. Suho looked at the business card. "Gwasil?" "Yes," Min-hyuk replied. "I'd like to invite you to Gwasil. We will provide you with the best conditions." But Suho showed no interest. "No need," he said coldly. His attitude surprised Min-hyuk. He glanced over his face, pale. He rejected my offer to join Gwasil immediately. Is he trying to raise the price? "If you already have a guild, then you can just ignore our offer," he continued. "I don't have one," Suho replied, closing his eyes slightly. This gave Min-hyuk a glimmer of hope. "Although our guild is ranked 4th in reality, the ranks between guilds don't mean much. Even if you receive offers from other places, I guarantee that we will provide you with the best conditions." Even after hearing all this, Suho's mind was made up. He put his coffee cup down, then smiled faintly. "No, it's just that I don't like working under others." This left Min-hyuk speechless. After their conversation, Suho had no reason to stay. He walked straight home. But when he entered, he found the room still empty. "They're still not back," he wondered. Outside, the sky was clear, the sun was shining, and the air was comfortable. Suho lay stretched out on the wooden floor. They really need to spend more time together, he thought. As he was lost in thought, the landlady walked by. "A strong young man like you, why are you lying around here?" He smiled. "Grandma, you should lie down here too. This weather is perfect for a nap." But contrary to his attitude, the landlady replied coldly, "Can't you see I'm here to hang the laundry?" Suho quickly understood and immediately ran to help her. "Pull it tight, kid," she urged. "Yes." As she worked, she continued, "Are you really Jianwoo's father's older brother?" "Yes, that's right," Suho replied with a smile. Hearing his answer, she couldn't help but laugh. "Haha, unbelievable. Did you lie about your age?" Playing along, he added, "I've lied about it a lot." She chuckled. "You little rascal." Seeing that she didn't believe him, Suho felt helpless. "It's true, Grandma." The landlady said, "Strange things keep happening. So many people have died and the world has been turned upside down. It's a miracle that you two were able to reunite after 10 years. Don't hurt your loved ones anymore. Just keep moving forward with confidence." Knowing that she was comforting him, Suho looked at her with a warm smile. "Don't worry, Grandma. I don't die that easily." She snorted. "You're too arrogant. Anything is possible." Just then, Junho and his son returned. "Grandma, is my brother up there?" he asked. Jianwoo also ran over, smiling. "Grandma? Yes, he is. Go find him," she replied. The two of them went up to the rooftop where Suho was sitting. "Hyung." "Uncle?" he smiled. "You're back." He waited for Junho to sit next to him, then took out an envelope. Junho was very surprised. "What's this?" "It's 50 million won, take it." Junho couldn't believe his ears. He was stunned, his eyes glazed over. He took the money and stammered, "Hyung, how did you get so much money?" But before he could finish, Suho cut him off. "Just take it and let's go have dinner." Junho was choked with emotion. "Hyung, how can I ever repay this favor?" Seeing his brother so grateful, he urged, "Stop whining and let's go." Junho wiped away the tears that were welling up. "Okay, I know." Just then, Suho called out cheerfully, "Hey, Junho!" His brother turned around in surprise. Suho continued, "You have money for meat and soju now, right?" This made Junho's face light up. "Of course I'll go buy some right now. Can you watch Jianwoo for me?" And so Suho was tasked with watching his nephew. The boy was engrossed in playing with the little pup. "Chase me, chase me." Suddenly, a system notification appeared. A companion is following the user. Please set a name. A name, he wondered. He turned to ask Jianwoo's opinion. "Hey kid, what should I name it?" The boy replied excitedly. "Name it B, Uncle." Hearing this, Suho seemed quite fond of the name. "B, that's a good one. From now on, your name is B." The puppy didn't know if he understood, but he seemed very happy, wagging his tail enthusiastically. A small information window appeared above his head. Name, B level 1 combat power, and just like that, the three of them played together. "Bring the ball here. Wow, Uncle B is so fast." Jianwoo jumped up and down with joy. "Good boy, B. Come here." A day was about to pass, the sun slowly setting. Jianwoo lay sprawled on the wooden floor, whining, "Oh, I'm so hungry. Why isn't Dad back yet?" Just as he said that, the sound of a car engine was heard. "Your dad's back," Suho said. He looked down at the pickup truck parked under the eaves. "Let's go greet him." Down below, a weary foot stepped inside. Seeing his father, Jianwoo ran over joyfully, calling out, "Dad!" But as Junho's face came into view, they saw his whole body was covered in blood, his clothes tattered. The sight made the boy freeze, his eyes wide, his mouth stammering. Hearing his son's voice, Junho tried to step inside, but before he could finish, his entire body collapsed to the ground. The boy ran over in fear, crying, "Dad!" Suho stood frozen, surrounded by the desperate cries. "Dad! Oh my God! Dad! Jianwoo, what happened?" That night, in a large, brightly lit building, countless men in black suits were playing cards, clearly up to no good. A man at a large table asked, "How are the SPFC dividends this week?" A subordinate standing beside him replied, "Zhang Ha B is up 1.2 times and Gang Jin Qian is up 7 times. Next week is the match between Michael Ivanov and Beyond Horizon, right?" he continued. "Yes, everyone is all in on Michael," the subordinate replied. The boss seemed puzzled. "Is there something wrong with Horizon last time with the Tiger H incident? I followed the crowd and lost a lot." Just as he said that, a loud noise came from outside, startling them. The boss roared in anger. "What's that noise outside?" He quickly urged his men, "Go check it out, you guys! Move it!" Before they could move, the door was pushed open from the outside. A figure in a black suit just like them stood blocking the doorway, motionless. The men inside were confused, frozen in place. The man at the door, covered in blood, trembled and said, Boss, there's big trouble." But before he could finish, a dark figure appeared behind him, grabbing his head. The subordinate was dragged backward, screaming in terror. Realizing something was wrong, the men inside didn't dare to go out, muttering, "What the hell is going on?" They gritted their teeth and charged out, shouting, "Which son of a—" Before he could finish his bravado, the body of the previous subordinate was thrown at him, sending him flying backward, crashing into tables and chairs. The others drew their knives, threatening, "They're all dead. Come in here if you dare, you bastard." At that moment, from the inky blackness outside the door, an intense pressure emanated. A pair of glowing, angry eyes slowly appeared, followed by a foot stepping inside. The man's hand veins, bulging with anger, grabbed a nearby cabinet and with just one hand lifted it into the air. The person standing there was none other than Suho, transformed into a different person, his eyes filled with immense hatred. Witnessing this, the subordinates backed away in fear, shouting, "He's crazy!" just as they said that Suho threw the large cabinet at them. The room filled with terrified screams. He didn't stop there. He continued to deal with the rest of them inside. Shards of glass flew everywhere, embedding themselves in the men who could only scream in pain. Other unfortunate ones were thrown to the ground by Suho, blood splattering everywhere. The scene was horrifying. Another man was thrown out of a glass window, flailing and screaming as he fell. After a while, Suho had dealt with all of them. He stepped on one man's head and approached the boss. The boss was trembling, sweat pouring down like rain, his eyes filled with fear. Suho stood before him, his eyes wide, staring at him as if he wanted to eat him alive. The boss was so scared he could barely speak, his voice trembling. "Ah!" he whispered to a subordinate next to him. "Do you know who he is?" The subordinate replied, "I think he's an awakened. Could he be—" Before he could finish, Suho kicked the table. The unexpected kick sent the boss and the subordinate crashing backwards, screaming in pain. "Ah, my leg! My leg is broken, you bastard!" The things on the desk fell to the ground, shattering. Suho placed one foot on the table facing him. The boss groaned. Suho cut him off. "You're Kim Jong-soo, right?" "Damn it. Yes, I'm Kim Jong-soo," he replied. Though terrified, he still managed to ask, "Who are you?" Suho immediately took out a stack of envelopes and slammed them on the table, shouting, "I'm here to pay Park Joon-ho's debt." This made Jong-soo grit his teeth in anger. "Ha! You're a crazy bastard!" He continued to threaten, "An awakened like you dares to beat up an ordinary person like me. You think I'll let you get away with this?" The angry words made him freeze as he realized his mistake. His eyes filled with anxiety, and just as expected, Suho slapped him across the face. Several of his front teeth flew out. Suho slapped him again on the other side to even it out. "Why do you treat someone who comes to pay you back like this?" he asked, continuing to vent his anger with each slap. "You just had to take the money, say thank you, and be done with it." The speed of the slaps increased. "Why do you bastards dare to be so arrogant?" After a series of slaps, Jong-soo couldn't say anything, only grit his teeth and endure. Blood splattered his face, a mess of tears and snot. He whimpered, "Please." Before he could finish, another slap landed. "Let me go." Suho paused, his eyes still blazing with anger. "Let me pay off this debt for you first. You want another beating?" Hearing this, Jong-soo was so scared he wet his pants, tears streaming down. "I give up, I surrender, I'll kneel." A while later in the war-torn office, Suho sat with his legs crossed on the table, looking down at the gangsters kneeling on the floor. Their faces were bruised and swollen as they chanted in unison, "All financial relationships between us and Mr. Park Joon-ho have been resolved." Not satisfied, he growled, "Again louder." Jong-soo and his men were terrified and immediately repeated, "All financial relationships between us and Mr. Park Joon-ho have been completely resolved." Having vented his anger, Suho said coldly, "If I ever see you guys again, I'll kill you all. Stay out of my way." Without hesitation, they bowed their heads to the ground. "We'll remember that." They all kept their heads down, not daring to move. After a while, sensing no movement in the room, Jong-soo dared to peek up. The other subordinates sat up. "Boss, he's gone!" Hearing this, Jong-soo's face twisted in anger. "Damn it! Where did that bastard come from? I'll kill them all!" Meanwhile, in a tall skyscraper with brightly lit offices, Min-hyuk rushed into a large office. "Deputy Director Park, it's urgent." The person sitting at the desk replied, "Ah, you've worked hard. What is it now?" Min-hyuk pointed to the paper in his hand. "Take a look at this." On the computer screen was Suho's picture with a large F next to it. "This is a high-potential rookie I just discovered." Deputy Director Park was confused. "Huh. He's only F rank, and he just registered as an awakened today." Min-hyuk looked pleased. "That's what's so great about it. Let me see his profile." "Take your hand off, it's annoying," the deputy director said as he typed. But to their surprise, the screen displayed access denied. This confused them. Who the hell is this guy? Not giving up. Deputy Director Park urged, try the back door. All right, Min-hyuk replied. They both continued to type furiously, trying to dig up information on Suho. After a while, Deputy Director Park was stunned. Oh my God. Both of their faces were filled with confusion. His activity log is completely gone. Is he really F rank? Was it tampered with by something? Min-hyuk added. Deputy Director Park mumbled, why is his personal information not public? He doesn't belong to any guild either. He bit his hand in frustration. Is this person hiding something? Min-hyuk nodded. Try checking his awakening skills. The more they read about Suho, the more surprised they became. Huh. Itemization system. What's this bread and water? Min-hyuk was flabbergasted. Ah. They huddled together discussing, did he use bread and water to catch Choi Guishik? They imagined Choi Guishik being pelted with bread and water by Suho. Stop it, that's impossible, the deputy director said. But he was missing for 10 years without a trace. It's possible he's one of our country's special agents. Min-hyuk gritted his teeth and cursed. Damn it, I thought he was special. He was disappointed. So he's just a government agent. Seeing his sad face, Deputy Director Park advised, you should give up on recruiting him. I bet 99.9% he's a government agent. He chuckled, proud of his deduction. Heh. I figured it out early on. But Min-hyuk still felt something was off. How can he be so cold? He slowly closed his eyes, relaxing. Let's go for coffee. As they walked, they chatted. But what's a special agent doing in a level 1 dungeon? You know that won't do anything. He then reminded, for now, just keep an eye on Park Suho. Deputy Director Park was reluctant. Oh, come on, give it up. But Min-hyuk was firm. If anything special comes up, you have to report it to me immediately. He followed behind, pleading, no way, I'm too busy. Time passed quickly. The next morning, at a large hospital, Suho, carrying a bag of things, slowly opened the door to a hospital room. He smiled happily. Junho, you're awake. Junho, sitting in the room with his head bandaged, replied, you're here. You bought so much food again. You have to eat a lot to get better quickly, Suho said. The table was filled with food, fried chicken fries, and hamburgers. How are you feeling? Junho smiled. I think I can take the bandage off tomorrow. You have the evaluation test tomorrow, right? Yeah, Suho replied. I hope you can pass and join a good guild. Junho wished for his brother. Suho didn't reply, just ate, thinking a king of the jungle like me has to bow down to others. Seeing his brother silent, Junho asked, should I help you look into some good guilds? Suho smiled faintly and replied, no need. As he finished, his face lit up. He looked straight into his brother's eyes and made a decision. I'll start my own guild. Junho was completely taken aback by Suho's statement. What, you're starting your own guild instead of joining one? In a towering skyscraper in the city, Sujin was walking confidently when someone ran up from behind, calling her name and making her stop. Hey, Choi Sujin. She glanced back with a cold look. Yes, Deputy Director. He stood in front of her. Have you been having any problems lately? No, I haven't. She replied, confused. The deputy director flew into a rage. And yet the area you're in charge of has exploded twice. If it weren't for the secondary gate yesterday, Seoul would have been reduced to dust. You know that. Feeling the blame being shifted onto her, Sujin didn't hold back. So if I wasn't there, it wouldn't have happened. Her words left him speechless. He could only scratch his head and moan, oh, please, I'm begging you, save me. The Gate Management Bureau called me this morning. They want you to resign, Sujin continued. He didn't answer, just complained, ah, what a headache. He then turned to her. You little brat, why do you keep ruining my good fortune? I don't know. I can't seem to focus lately, she replied nonchalantly. The deputy director took out a piece of paper and handed it to her. Enough talk. Take this and go. She took it, confused. What's this? But as she read the contents, she grew furious. Oh my God, this is so annoying, and you dare tell me to rest if I'm tired. It's just for you, he continued. If you had worked carefully, this wouldn't have happened. Before he could finish, she turned and walked away. Fine. Hey kid, where are you going? He shouted angrily. Remember not to eliminate all the candidates. You know we're short-staffed these days. We need to send more new people to the battlefield. Of course, Sujin didn't listen. If you let those idiots pass, they'll just die on the battlefield anyway, she retorted, and walked away, leaving him shouting behind her. Aish, this hot-headed brat! Time passed, and the day of the selection test arrived. Inside a large building, countless applicants were gathered, chatting excitedly. Ha! I'm definitely passing this time. It's my 4th try. Among them, a young man with curly hair was excitedly live-streaming on his phone. Hello, everyone. I'm here at the Hunter selection test. If you can cheer me on to pass this test, he said with a smile, I'll definitely fulfill all your requests. Please remember to follow. He made a heart shape with his hands. Oh, Kamsunim, thank you for the 10,001 donation. Hey, I'm already getting so much support just for the test. If I get into a dungeon... Before he could finish, people from the management bureau walked in. The curly-haired man quickly said, everyone, the examiners are here. They don't allow filming, so I'll stop the broadcast here. Suddenly, Suho appeared, looking at the camera with curiosity. The curly-haired man was annoyed. What is this, the first time you've seen a live stream? Who were you just talking to? Suho replied with a smile. Geez, get out of the way, the man shouted angrily. Suho wasn't bothered at all. You're quite interesting, he said. The man gritted his teeth, annoyed. This guy. Just then, an announcement came over the loudspeaker. Welcome, everyone. I am Major Kim Jong-soo, and I will be your supervising manager for the 3-day test. The 21 examiners here will spend 3 days and 2 nights with you, and they will be the ones to decide if you pass this test. The crowd buzzed with excitement. I have to do well this time. That's Captain Park Jong-chul over there. I heard it's better to be with him. Oh no, the witch is here too. Any team with her will have a higher elimination rate. The major continued. You all received a number when you registered, right? We will now begin the drawing to form teams. Those whose names are called will line up in front of their examiner. Names were called one by one and people rushed to their examiners. 1. Kim Jong-gu examiner, 13. Yes. 2. Shim Hyun-shik examiner, 15. Oh no. 3. Chen Han-soo. Yes. The curly-haired man was also called. B5. Han Dong-soo examiner, 15. He gritted his teeth and cursed, damn it. Right after him was Suho. 46. Park Suho examiner, 15. 15, he wondered. Just as he said that, his eyes met someone and he exclaimed, Ah! It turned out Suho's examiner was Sujin. It's the blonde girl, he thought. A small smile played on his lips. Long time no see. Sujin, standing above, also felt someone's gaze on her. When she turned, her eyes met Suho's and they widened in surprise. Once everyone was settled, the major announced, Everyone please move to your lines and wait for further instructions. They moved inside, whispering. You're in Examiner 7's team, right? Lucky you. I'm doomed. I can't be with that blonde lady. Deep inside, a group stopped in front of a room. There's a gym here too. Wow, this place is like a mini prison. Contrary to everyone's excitement, one person was dragging his feet. It was Dong-soo. Why am I on the witches team? He sighed. The other examiners are so kind and easygoing. I'm definitely going to be eliminated. The room he was in was number 15. Inside, 5 other people were arranging their things, including Suho. Recognizing the curly-haired man, Suho glanced at him but didn't start a conversation yet. He sat down, changed his shoes, and then asked, Why the long face? Weren't you just talking and laughing to yourself earlier? Hearing someone talk to him? Dong-soo looked up with a sour expression. What the hell? This guy is on the same team as me? He thought. So we're in the same boat, he said. Huh? Suho was confused. You don't know the blonde lady's nickname. People don't call her the witch for no reason, Dong-soo explained. The witch, Suho asked. If she's not happy, she won't hesitate to eliminate a candidate. If you're not careful, your 3,000,001 registration fee will go down the drain. Failing the test is because you lack ability. Why blame the examiner? Suho replied bluntly. What? Dong-su was offended. He stared at Suho. Is he looking down on me? No wonder I didn't like this bastard from the first time I saw him. Suho, sitting opposite, also felt the hostile gaze. Why have you been talking so informally to me this whole time? You look younger than me, Dong-su asked. Suho smirked provocatively. So you want to try me? I just got here and I'm already finding this place interesting. The tension grew, drawing everyone's attention. Dong-su was furious. Damn it, you bastard! You think I'm easy? He gritted his teeth. Suho remained seated coldly, replying with one word, yeah. Losing face. Dong-su stood up. Ha, fine, he said, taking off his shirt and storming out of the room. Follow me. A while later, someone opened the door from outside. It was Sujin, the examiner for room 15. She looked around, puzzled, not seeing anyone. Huh, where did everyone go? She wondered, annoyed. At the same time, in another room with brand new equipment, the crowd was exclaiming, Wow, this prison is awesome. This place is perfect for beating up someone you hate. In the center of the room was a large ring. Suho and Dong-su were standing in it. Others were urging them on from below. Hurry up and start. If the examiner catches us, we'll all be kicked out. Anyway, I'm failing this time since I'm on the blonde witch's team. Dong-su took a deep breath. Come on, you bastard. You should see who your opponent is. He sneered. You don't know the show Explosive Violence, do you? I'm a promising boxer from NoTube. Suho still looked bewildered. NoTube? What's that? Can you eat it? Dong-su grew even more furious. Ha! You bastard, are you messing with me? You're such a damn idiot. The atmosphere exploded. The others cheered excitedly. Yeah, fight, go for it. As if empowered, he began to show off his skills. My hobby is putting guys like you in their place. If I upload this online, it'll get at least 100,000 views. What a pity. Suho was equally excited, a smirk on his face. Interesting. Stop your damn barking, you dog! Dong-su shouted crazily. He rushed forward. Come on, I'll take you down in a heartbeat. He threw a punch straight at Suho's face without hesitation, but just then someone appeared shouting, Stop! The others, startled, looked back and saw it was Sujin. They were horrified. Ah! Dong-su on the platform froze, sweating profusely. The witch. She looked at them all with a sharp gaze. Everyone back to the room. Her expression changed slightly. She smiled. The loser will be eliminated. Begin. Her words surprised Dong-su, who was also confused. Huh, he thought worriedly. She's gone. Suddenly he heard hurried footsteps approaching. He glanced behind him. It was Suho, his face dark, his fists clenched. Faced with this attitude, Dong-su also got into a fighting stance. You brought this on yourself, so don't blame me. The young brat Suho showed no fear. He smiled. I'm sorry. Before he could finish, Dong-su couldn't wait any longer and threw a punch, shouting, Shut up and pack your things, you bastard! But before he could even touch him, Suho knocked him out with one punch. The blow was so fast and precise that he couldn't dodge it. His feet stumbled and his whole body collapsed headfirst to the ground. The fight was over in less than a heartbeat. Suho stood in his place, and the scene left even Sujin in disbelief. Suho stood on the platform looking down with a mysterious smile. The more she looked, the angrier she got. All right, Park Suho. This bastard is the cause of everything. She remembered everything that had happened since the first day she met him. He was the root of all her troubles. He exuded an unusual aura. Lost in thought, she was startled when Suho approached her. He looked at her and asked, What, you're not coming up? Hearing this, she was still surprised, frozen. If you want to pass, you should come up too. Suho continued with a smile. Faced with this provocation, Sujin finally reacted. She frowned. What? Instead, if I win, don't eliminate him, he said, patting his chest. The more she listened, the more ridiculous she found it. She looked at him with a disdainful smile. Humph, how ridiculous. She bent down and placed her sword on the ground, then stepped onto the platform facing Suho. Are you an irregular? She asked. Irregular. What's that? He asked, looking genuinely clueless. Before Suho could understand, Sujin rushed at him, shouting, "If you don't die, I'll show you what it is!" Suho was slightly surprised by her lightning-fast speed, but quickly raised his hands to block. His feet shifted lightly skillfully, and he blocked her punch. Sujin continued to throw a series of punches, but Suho blocked them all. Seizing the opportunity, she aimed a knee at his face. Suho could only raise his hands to protect himself. Suddenly sensing danger, his eyes widened. Sujin was rushing at him, smiling. "If you win, I'll grant you one more request." With that, she kicked him straight in the chest, sending him flying backward. His eyes were closed and he didn't react. Seeing this, Sujin still felt something was off. He's definitely strange. There's something about him. As she thought, her body landed safely. But the match was not over. Sujin looked at Suho confused. Her eyes widened as she witnessed the scene before her. Suho hadn't fallen. He was hanging onto the fence. His face darkened as he looked at her. "Wow, you're stronger than I thought." "Can he hold on?" Sujin wondered. Without hesitation, she launched another kick, her eyes filled with confidence. "This is really the end," she declared. Sujin's kick knocked Suho off the fence and he fell to the mat. She immediately jumped down, her powerful foot raised. Sensing the danger, Suho rolled to the side, dodging. Sujin didn't stop. She pushed off again and, just like before, threw a series of punches at his face, all of which he blocked. This time, he reacted to the surprise kick catching her leg. Highly focused, he sensed an opening. He glanced to the side, then used his elbow to strike Sujin's attacking leg. The tables had turned. He smirked, his fist clenched. Sujin became tense, her teeth gritted. Damn it. With no other choice, she raised her hand to create a shield. Suho's punch hit the magic shield directly, but it quickly shattered under the immense force. Sujin was thrown backward, unable to react, and fell to the ground. In unexpected pain, she tried to calm herself, pushing her hands and feet against the floor to steady herself. She looked up in shock. "He broke my shield." Before she could understand, Suho rushed forward again. "My turn to counterattack." Sujin sat still. This is fun," Suho shouted. "You're an irregular, aren't you?" she quickly asked. "Yes, my feeling of unease wasn't wrong." Hearing her question, Suho felt as if he had been struck. He froze, his feet planted on the ground. They stood facing each other, the air thick with tension. "I give up," Sujin said. "Why?" Suho asked, confused. "The fight was just getting interesting." "This place is too small for me to use my skills," she replied frankly. "We'll fight again next time in a bigger place." But Suho wasn't satisfied. He smirked. "How shameful." Her taunt made Sujin furious. "Just tell me your wish. A bet is a bet." "Are there many strong women like you on Earth?" Suho asked. She crossed her arms. "Oh, I wouldn't say many." He became cheerful. "All right, I choose you. Have a child with me." Sujin was even more confused. "What?" With the same cheerful attitude, he repeated, "I want to mate with you." This completely broke Sujin's composure. She swung her hand and slapped him hard across the face. Just then, Dong-su woke up and witnessed the scene. He was stunned. "Huh? What the hell happened? Why did the blonde witch just slap this idiot? And more importantly, why am I on the floor?" After slapping Suho, Sujin immediately turned and left, cursing, "You crazy bastard!" Dong-su stood up, bewildered but now understanding. He finally remembered everything. He rubbed his cheek, crying. I was defeated with just one punch. I lost. I guess I have to go home. I wasted my registration fee without even participating." He collapsed to the ground. "This is so embarrassing." He looked up at Suho with a resentful glare, tears welling up. "Are you happy now that you got me eliminated?" "You're not eliminated," Suho replied with a smile. Dong-su couldn't believe his ears. "What?" At the same time, from a corner of the room, a camera had recorded everything. The movements, big and small, and the voices were all being monitored. In a large room, Major Jeonsu sat stunned, his face filled with disbelief. Choi Sujin. Lost. Back in the ring after speaking, Suho turned to leave, calling out, "Let's go." Dong-soo, his cheek red, stood up and ran after him. "Hey, wait! We said the loser would be eliminated. Why wasn't I disqualified?" "I asked for it," Suho replied. Dong-soo was even more confused. "Huh." Setting that aside, he asked curiously, "But why did she slap you?" "I don't know either," Suho replied nonchalantly. This once again sent Dong-soo into deep thought. He froze. Suddenly, he seemed to realize something. His eyes widened in horror. The image of Suho being slapped flashed in his mind. His face darkened. Could it be because of me? Did he take that slap to ask her to overlook the commotion? Tears streamed down his face and his heart filled with emotion. He looked at Suho with sparkling, admiring eyes. What a man. This is a real man. The more he thought, the more emotional he became, tears and snot running down his face. "Hyungnim," he sobbed. Their bond had reached a new level. He ran after him, calling, "Hyungnim, wait for me!" But before he could take another step, an announcement came over the loudspeaker. "Applicant 46 Park Suho, please report to the monitoring room immediately." Hearing his name, Suho was puzzled. "Huh. Are they calling you?" Dong-soo asked. "I think so," he replied. A while later in the monitoring room, the door was closed. Suho sat opposite Major Jeon-soo. "Is there something you need to talk about?" he asked. The major took out a recorder. "Wait. From now on, I will record this entire conversation." "Yes," Suho replied. The major got straight to the point. "I witnessed the match between you and the B-rank awakened supervisor Choi Soo-jin. Are you an irregular?" Hearing the word again, Suho asked, "I've been wondering about that. What is it?" Seeing that his expression wasn't feigned, the major thought for a moment. "It seems you don't have enough information about the gates." He began to explain. Currently, 3 planets have opened gates linked to Earth. First is the planet Aruka. Aruka is inhabited by elves and dwarves. It's a friendly planet for cultural exchange and trade with Earth. They love people from Earth and have taught humans many skills like magic and magical weapon crafting. Next is the planet Gwicheon. Gwicheon is where the Mamon and Jung tribes fight for control. Although we can interact with the Jung tribe if the gate links to their territory, if it links to Mamon territory, war will break out immediately. And finally, the planet Mitre. Mitre is a neutral planet occupied by the Orc tribe. However, besides orcs, there is also a tribe of incredibly brutal giant monsters. If a gate opens, their war will erupt. There are people who have learned the techniques of these 3 planets and returned to Earth. Their combat abilities can't be classified by the awakened ranking system, so they are called irregulars, which means unconventional. Hearing this, Suho propped his chin on his hand and sighed. So complicated. But it's not just 3 planets, he added. His words made the major freeze. If it's not just 3 planets, then is he someone who returned from a dungeon? Otherwise, how could an F-rank like him defeat a B-rank Choi Soo-jin? He looked up at Suho. "So which planet did you return from?" "I told the bald doctor this already," Suho replied with a serious look. "I lived with wolves for many years." The major's face darkened, his thoughts unreadable. Before he could speak, Suho spoke up. "Are we done talking?" "Ah, yes." The major quickly nodded, a little wary. "Thank you for coming to talk to me. You can return to the rest area now." Suho walked out and closed the door. Alone in the room, the major sighed. "Ah, that's impossible." Just then, someone opened the door. "I'm Sergeant Kim Sang-shik." He stood at attention. "Sir, you called for me." "Ah, Sergeant Kim," the major replied. "Please take over as supervisor for Team 15. "Huh?" Sang-shik was surprised. "Is Captain Choi Soo-jin being reassigned?" The major adjusted his glasses. "Tisk, she ran away." "Ran away, sir?" Sang-shik was shocked. "That's how it is. From now until the special inspection is over, you will monitor and record applicant Park Suho in Team 15 and report to me." Soon after, a crackling announcement came over the loudspeaker. "All applicants, please change and proceed to the training ground." Everyone immediately got up. "Ah, it's starting. Let's go." A while later, at the training ground, everyone was present. The examiners shouted, "Line up in your teams!" The new thing was that Team 15's supervisor had been changed to Kim Sang-shik. Everyone was overjoyed. "Hey, they changed our supervisor. Woohoo, the blonde witch is gone." Only Suho was surprised. Sang-shik began to introduce himself. "Hello, I'm Sergeant Kim Sang-shik. From now on, I will be the supervisor for Team 15. As he walked, he continued, "Today's requirements are a 100-meter dash in 9 seconds and a 40-event decathlon in 1 hour. Easy, right?" The other applicants groaned. "Oh man, that's unbelievable! Everyone's awakening skills are different. This is a bit too much." The test began immediately. The female applicants seemed to struggle. One girl ran panting heavily. The supervisor looked at his watch. 13 seconds. Fail. The girl was indignant. "Why are you applying the standards for a physical type awakened to a recovery type awakened?" The supervisor grew angry. "You think a monster will spare a healer fail?" Not wasting any more time, he looked at his list. "Number 45, Han Dong-soo to the starting line." Dong-soo quickly replied, "Yes." He stepped up smiling confidently. Hey, too easy." Behind him, other applicants complained, "Hey, even I find this hard. And what about the 40-event decathlon?" He then turned to Suho and winked. "Young Nim, cheer me on. I'm going first." Suho didn't reply, just smiled as if encouraging him. Dong-soo's test began. In just a few seconds, he reached the finish line, shouting. The supervisor looked at his watch. 8 seconds. Pass. The next applicant was quickly called. "Next, number 46, Park Suho." He stepped up to the starting blocks, his hand lightly touching the white line. He was completely ready, his eyes showing no anxiety, only an unusual confidence. Nearby, Dong-soo jumped up and down, shouting, "Young Nim, let's go!" As Suho started to run, the supervisor pressed the side of his glasses to activate the recording camera. When the signal was given, Suho's feet shot off the blocks. His body was like a whirlwind, disappearing without a trace. Dong-soo was in disbelief, his mouth agape, sweating. The supervisor next to him was equally stunned, speechless. The other applicants were also amazed, their eyes following him without blinking. In Major Jong-soo's office, the phone on his desk rang shrilly. He quickly answered. "Security Communication Room, Major Kim Jong-soo." A voice from the other end replied, "Sir, this is Sergeant Kim Sang-shik. I have the results of applicant Park Suho's physical test, but it's quite shocking. Please watch the video." Major Jong-soo immediately looked at the video playing on his computer screen. His expression became tense. "Is there a reporter?" On the other end, Supervisor Sang-shik, hearing the major's question, turned to look behind him. Behind him, reporters had appeared out of nowhere, snapping pictures relentlessly. They marveled, "Oh wow, this is going to be a special report." "Is that him?" Sang-shik pressed his earpiece. "They're very excited, sir." Elsewhere on a desk, a phone was ringing non-stop. A young woman quickly answered. "This is Kim Mi-soo, General Affairs Department, Returnee Management Bureau." "Oh yes, hello, Major Kim Jong-soo." From the other end of the line, the major, with a mysterious look in his eyes, said, "I've sent you several videos of Park Suho. You need to watch them immediately." His serious tone surprised Mi-soo. "Huh? What?" An assistant pointed to the screen showing a replay of Suho's test. "Major Kim Jong-soo is an expert in detecting lies. Therefore, I believe the content of his interview with Dr. Kim Jong-gu at the hospital is also true. There's nothing to doubt anymore." Perhaps all of Dr. Kim Jong-gu's reports are true, Mi-soo thought. So the F-rank returnee everyone thought had a delusional disorder is actually an irregular of B-rank or higher. And if everything he said is true, then Park Suho really did return from a fourth unknown planet. She turned to her assistant. "Manager Park, please stop the reporters from breaking into the test site." But his expression changed as he looked at his phone. "Ah, about that." He showed his phone to Mi-soo. It read, "F-rank awakened Park Suho sets new record, 14 minutes 48 seconds for the 40-event decathlon. The previous Korean record held by Sunjin Woo of 19 minutes has been broken after 3 years. Park Suho sets new world record for 100 meters dash 2.224 seconds. It seems we were one step too late, ma'am." This news made her lose her composure completely. She shouted, "Take down all the articles, block the news now." At the test site, things had gotten out of control. Reporters swarmed in, their eyes fixed on Suho and Dong-soo as they walked. "Mr. Park Suho, please stop. Can we interview you?" "Just a moment, please spare us some time." He paid them no mind, just gave them a cold glance without a word. Contrary to his attitude, Misu was lost in a whirlwind of thoughts. He can pass through a gate without protective gear, even though he's only F rank due to a lack of multidimensional energy. Could it be that his physical stats from that planet still exist? The status window system also had an error at that time. The more she thought, the more confused she became. How can he... Her hands clenched into tight fists. If he really did return from a fourth planet. At the test site, police quickly arrived to protect Suho, holding back the reporters. Then the Republic of Korea will be the one to hold the key to that mysterious fourth planet. Misu thought, a smile of excitement on her face. Back at the test site, the reporters were being held back. They pleaded, "Just let us in for a moment," but were met with a firm shake of the head from the police. No. Some still tried to get more information. "Mr. Park Suho, please look this way and smile. It's dangerous. Please step back." Inside the cafeteria, the other applicants were also distracted by the noise. They whispered, "What are those reporters doing out there? It's because of him." "Ah, that's Park Suho, right? Wow, just looking at him is overwhelming." Ignoring their gossip and the countless cameras pointed at him, Suho calmly sat down and shoveled large spoonfuls of food into his mouth while the crowd outside continued to shout. Seeing this, Dong-soo's admiration grew. He looked at Suho, who was eating heartily. "That's right, I couldn't have been knocked out by an ordinary person," he thought with regret. "If I had just broadcasted that, I would be famous by now." Seeing Dong-soo staring blankly, Suho asked, "What are you looking at? Are you done eating?" Dong-soo gave a forced smile. "Ah no, Hyung-nim. Are you choking? Let me get you some water." But in the blink of an eye, the mountain of rice on Suho's plate was gone. Dong-soo smiled. The amount he eats is also different from everyone else. He's definitely going to be a big shot in the future. Mealtime quickly passed, and they both returned to room 15 to rest. Inside, Suho was stretched out on the bed, asleep. Dong-soo was still sitting up, dazed. He looked at the empty lockers. "Look at the lockers. I guess everyone else got eliminated." Suho didn't move, his eyes still closed. Dong-soo sighed. "This is a big problem." Hearing this, Suho glanced over. "Why? We have to attack a dungeon now, right? If our team had more people, we'd have an advantage. I wonder if the other teams have reorganized their manpower." Dong-soo replied. Contrary to Dong-soo's worries, Suho was completely nonchalant. "It's fine. I'm enough on my own." Hearing this, Dong-soo's eyes widened in surprise. Such confidence, he thought. He then said shyly, "No. Even though I understand your physical strength and combat ability, the environments inside dungeons are extremely diverse. No matter how talented you are, attacking a dungeon is not a simple matter." Seeing that he still didn't believe him, Suho replied, "Do I have to?" "Ah, never mind. When I first met you, I saw you talking while looking at your phone screen. What was that?" "That's NoTube. You don't know what it is," Dong-soo replied. Suho sat up confused. "No." Seeing his expression, Dong-soo knew he wasn't lying. "Ha, you really don't know. Did you just come down from the mountains?" His casual words hit a little too close to home. "The place I lived was something like that," Suho replied with a smile. Dong-soo was taken from one surprise to another. "Oh my God, what era is this guy from?" He took out his phone and showed it to Suho. "Look, this is NoTube. This shows the number of viewers. See my viewer count, 284 people." He pointed to the screen. "This one has more. There are many famous channels," he continued. Suho's eyes fell on another channel with an overwhelming number of viewers. "What's this 100,000? "That's a famous mukbang," Dong-soo explained. On the screen was a girl eating a huge table of food with giant chunks of meat. "Oh, wow. That must be delicious. Can she eat all that by herself?" Suho said with interest. Dong-soo, sitting next to him, watched him intently. Come to think of it, this Hyungnim's appetite isn't normal either. He said, "I know a lot of people in the mukbang world. If you're interested, I can introduce you to them for a collaboration later." "Really, I can eat all this too?" "You promised?" Suho asked happily. "Of course," Dong-soo confirmed with a smile. This made Suho like his teammate even more. He's a good person, but he didn't know that Dong-soo was also eyeing a business opportunity. This Hyungnim has great potential for no-tube, handsome, great physical ability, and the best record ever all over the news. Suho, oblivious, was engrossed in watching the phone. "Today I'll challenge myself with 30 plates of stuffed tteokbokki. If he proves his ability through the dungeon attack tomorrow, it's only a matter of time before he becomes the #1 talent sought after by famous guilds. If I broadcast with someone like that..." Before he could finish, Suho turned and smiled. "I like you. You should join my guild." This sudden offer left Dong-soo flustered. "Huh." They sat there staring at each other, speechless. After a moment of existential crisis, he asked, "You're starting a guild. You're not joining one." "Yeah," Suho replied with a smile. The more Dong-soo thought, the more confused he became. Wait a minute. An idea sparked in his mind. If I start a guild with the main character of this hunter test, and then make clips about attacking dungeons, this. A flood of memories rushed back. The day he was still competing, knocked out on the floor. He sat in a corner of the ring, exhausted, cursing. "I tried so hard, went through a poor childhood, all for boxing. Even though I kept failing to get a professional license, I never gave up hope, training every day. But the great cataclysm had shattered all his dreams." He remembered a conversation with his friends. "It would be great if you could lend me some money. Boxing is a tough life now. The world has changed. If you want to make money, you should become an awakened and be a mercenary or join the SPFC." And so, with a bleeding heart, Dong-soo had started his no-tube journey. "If I do well, I can make money, right?" he had asked his friend. "Oh, anyone can do that. You need good content." Back in the present, those thoughts still lingered. "That's right, I need good content. This is the great content I've been looking for all this time. My life is finally blooming." Without another moment's hesitation, he turned to Suho, his fists clenched with determination. "I'll do anything as long as I can join you." Seeing his expression, Suho smiled with satisfaction. "Good. I really like you. You have to keep your promise about the mukbang with me." Overcome with emotion, Dong-soo couldn't hold back his tears. He sobbed, "Hyungnim, you said that." As expected, connections are the key to success, he thought. Seeing him so emotional, Suho was bewildered. "Why are you crying all of a sudden?" "It's nothing, don't mind me," he replied. After calming down, he asked, "But Hyungnim, a guild needs at least 3 members. I've already agreed." This was news to Suho. 3 people, he asked, surprised. Before he could finish, someone pushed the door open from outside. Hearing the noise, both of them turned to look. Standing at the door was a person in strange clothes with a shaved head and a cold expression. Dong-soo looked at the newcomer, confused. Why is there a monk here all of a sudden?" The person clasped his hands together and introduced himself. "This humble monk is applicant number 80 Myojin. I have been transferred to Team 15, Amitabha." Dong-soo was startled. "Huh. A monk is also an awakened." Before they could greet each other further, a crackling sound interrupted their conversation. It was the loudspeaker outside. After a moment, a voice came through. "All applicants, please change into your combat gear and assemble at the briefing room within 30 minutes. This sudden announcement left everyone confused. "Huh, assemble now," Dong-soo grumbled. "What's this? It's already night and they're making us gather." "Aren't we attacking the dungeon tomorrow?" Suho asked. Myojin clasped his hands together. "This humble monk has heard that the dungeon attack will be conducted at night without prior notice. Amitabha." Hearing this, Dong-soo's eyes widened. "No notice, unbelievable." A while later at the briefing room, everyone was present. The major began, "Silence, silence. I will now begin the briefing on the dungeon attack. Today's test is to see if you can enter a dungeon. This dungeon is located in the 5th district of Seoul under the management of the Phoenix Guild. It is a level 1 dungeon with a total of 250 entrances. Phoenix Guild? Suho asked, puzzled. Dong-su, sitting next to him, explained. Although the Phoenix Guild isn't in the top 12 guilds representing the Republic of Korea, it's still a very famous guild. So what does a guild manage? Suho asked again. This question made Dong-su's face go blank. What planet is this guy from, he thought. Well, the thing is, the country can't manage all the gates that appear. So the country recruits guilds and signs treaties with them to help defend the 12 zones in Seoul. And the guilds that have signed these national defense treaties are called guilds. Guilds manage the dungeons in their area and also the benefits that come from them. The larger the scale of the benefits they manage, the more they try to expand it. After the Great Cataclysm, the world's economic order began to restructure around this large-scale industry. After hearing the explanation, Suho asked curiously, "You mean we can hunt and earn money in places permitted by the state?" "Yes, something like that," Dong-su replied. He remembered the time he lived with the wolf pack. "I want to start a guild because I really miss those days of living and hunting with the pack," he thought. A small, fond smile appeared on his face. "So we can have our own territory too. It would be great if we had our own dungeon," Dong-su continued. "Otherwise, you'll have to pay a fee to enter." Suho didn't care about that. He clenched his fist with determination. "All right, our goal will be to become a hyungnim," he stammered. "First, we have to pass this test." Seeing the doubt in his eyes, Suho glanced at him. What this guy is like an idiot, Dong-su thought. Up above, Major Jeon-su said, "This is the shape of the gate located at National Route 14 Zone 5. It's a level 1 dungeon. It will break in about 15 days. It's a labyrinth-type dungeon with the fewest items and also the easiest of the dungeons. If you encounter a weak monster, you might have to provide a lot of multidimensional energy to get enough items. A bit of a pity, isn't it?" He concluded. "Well, that's my briefing on the level 1 dungeon attack." "Ha, what? If this is a labyrinth dungeon, then the problem isn't the monsters, but that we could get stuck in the maze," Dong-su thought anxiously. "Damn it, no matter how good you are at attacking dungeons." He held his head and cried, blaming himself. If only I had the exploration skill. Next to him, Suho sat silently observing Dong-su. He pointed to himself and said confidently, "I have the exploration skill." This snapped Dong-su back to reality. His eyes widened and he stammered with a bright smile, "Hi, Hyungnim." But his expression quickly changed to curiosity. Wait a minute. Did he learn that skill before the test? Even without doing anything, he has a 30 million won skill book. A conclusion quickly formed in his mind. This Hyungnim is from a rich family. Dong-su's attention then turned to Myojin, who was sitting silently next to him. "Monk, I don't know what your awakening skill is." Myojin glanced at him sharply but didn't answer, continuing to look down with an indescribable expression. Seeing this, Suho was also very curious. Myojin then turned and said softly, "This humble monk." A flood of memories began to rush back to him. The day he was still in the temple chanting and striking the wooden fish. The sound echoed rhythmically ceaselessly. Outside, a horde of monsters was rushing in. In the main hall, the sound of Myojin's wooden fish still echoed, spreading everywhere. The sound seemed to be amplified, growing louder and louder, enveloping the temple. The sound drew the monsters' attention. They shrieked terrifyingly. Countless nearby goblins were drawn by the sound, and they went berserk, their minds in chaos, baring their sharp fangs and roaring. Myojin, unaware of what was happening outside, continued to chant like a statue. From the trees in the nearby forest, the sound of monsters grew louder, as if shaking the heavens and the earth. Suddenly, a hideous monster 10 times the size of the goblins emerged. It had also been drawn by the sound. The sound of his wooden fish became more and more frantic, faster and faster. It seemed to spur the monsters on, causing them to lose control and rush madly towards the source of the sound. The number of goblins was now immense, at least 100. And behind them was the giant monster of a grotesque size. The door to the room where Myojin was sitting was suddenly thrown open. "Myojin!" Another monk shouted, his face filled with panic. "Myojin, stop!" Not understanding what was happening, he asked blankly. "Brother Gong Seo." He calmly continued, "I must." But before he could finish, the other monk urged, "The abbot has called for an assembly. We have to run from this place. Quickly." Just as he said that, Myojin's expression changed. His eyes widened and sweat poured down like rain. Behind the other monk, a goblin had appeared, its mouth wide open, filled with sharp fangs. Without hesitation, it lunged and devoured the unfortunate monk whole. Just then, Major Jonsu's voice brought Myojin back to reality. "And that concludes my briefing on the attack." Suho and Dongsu were still sitting next to him, watching him intently. "What's wrong with that monk?" Dongsu asked curiously. The major continued, "From now on, after moving to the assembly point, you will form teams with your supervisors to begin the dungeon attack. Use the travel time to review the guidebooks." A series of vehicles carrying the players quickly set off into the night. "I hope all of you can pass this test successfully." After a while, everyone had gathered at the point where the gate was about to open. A loud shout was heard. "Everyone assemble!" And the supervisors ordered, "Get out of the vehicles quickly and focus on my movements. If you don't keep your spirits up, you won't be able to return alive." In the vehicle, Sang-shik looked at the players and asked, "Are you all ready?" "Hyung-nim, you have to fasten your seatbelt," Dong-su reminded Suho. Sang-shik smiled. "From the moment you enter the dungeon, you can consider me not there and act on your own. But you know that your individual scores can still decrease, even if your team successfully clears the dungeon, right?" "But supervisor, our team only has 3 people. You'll help us if we're in danger, right?" Dong-su asked. Sang-shik didn't answer, just smiled. "Let's go." Suho stepped out of the vehicle, ready to enter the dungeon. He didn't forget to turn and ask Dong-su, "Why are you so scared?" "I'm not Hyung-nim. I'm not scared," he stammered. Before he could finish, Myojin looked at the supervisor and asked, "We can use our personal weapons, right?" "Of course," Sang-shik replied immediately. As he walked, Dong-su suddenly realized something. What that monk too? Did they all pass the mercenary test before, so they all have weapons made from multidimensional materials? In front of the dungeon gate, a supervisor shouted, "Team 14 successfully entered." Next, Sang-shik stepped forward. "Team 15 enter gate 175. He turned to his team and smiled. "Let's go." Following the command, the 3 of them entered. "Team 15 depart." As soon as he stepped through the gate, Suho went straight ahead without waiting for anyone. Seeing this, Dong-su thought anxiously, "Why is he going ahead alone? I have a bad feeling about this." He quickly ran up, calling, "Hi Hyung-nim, watch your surroundings." Just as he said that, he gasped and covered his mouth. "Hick!" He glanced at Supervisor Sang-shik walking behind him. "Damn it, I'm going to lose points. I should have been quiet to confirm the area was safe. Shouting like that will attract the monster's attention." At the same time, on Suho's side, a skeleton with a sharp weapon suddenly rushed out of nowhere. But before it could do anything, he grabbed its head. He then punched it squarely in the face, and it didn't have time to react. Its skull shattered into pieces, scattering everywhere. Seeing the skeleton defeated in an instant, Dong-su was thrilled. "So it was my voice that made the monster let its guard down, luring it here to be destroyed. You did a great job with our battle plan." He ran over to Suho. "Hyung-nim, were you using the exploration skill while moving forward?" "If there's a mistake." Before he could finish, Suho sensed something, glanced back and said, Unfortunately, Myojin had accidentally triggered a trap on the ground. He immediately realized his mistake, his face filled with panic. Before they could understand what was happening, loud noises came from above. Dong-su's face darkened. This is... He stammered, looking at the arrows shooting towards them. "A trap." Myojin quickly drew the sword from his back, his expression indescribable. Old emotions washed over him. In front of him was a rain of bullets flying towards the giant monster perched on the temple roof. Below, other monks were fighting hard against the goblins. At the same time, inside the room, Myojin sat dazed next to a corpse surrounded by fire. His face was filled with pain, tears streaming down. "I'm sorry. Because of me," he whimpered. A huge explosion then destroyed the entire building, taking the giant monster with it. "It's all my fault," he blamed himself. Back in the present, Myojin didn't want that scene to repeat itself. He used his full moon gale technique, deflecting the sharp arrows. Each arrow broke in two and fell to the ground. Dongsu, standing behind, looked up anxiously. "Oh my god, that guy is going to die!" But before he could take a few steps, his foot stepped on another trap. Thud. The three of them fell into a deep pit. A echoing scream was heard. As they fell, the pit immediately closed, the ground returning to its original state as if nothing had happened. All around was now strangely quiet. Only the remnants of arrows stuck deep in the ground. Below, Suho and the others stood tall, completely unharmed. Next to them, a groaning sound was heard. Dongsu had fallen flat on his face. "So horrible. Have all my dreams been shattered?" he moaned. Just then, not far away, a series of strange noises began to approach. Sensing something coming, Dongsu's eyes widened in tension. The sound didn't stop getting closer and closer. The Hyungnim! It seems we've attracted them," he warned in a panic. It was then that Myojin revealed his true skill. "My apologies. My awakening skill is area taunt." "A area taunt!" Dongsu exclaimed in horror. Contrary to his reaction, Suho was completely calm. "That's good. It's a hassle to find them one by one," he said. This surprised and confused Myojin, who glanced at him. Before he could say anything, Suho kicked the ground above them, shattering it. Witnessing this, Myojin was startled, his teeth clenched. Dongsu was equally impressed. "Oh wow, is that a human's kick?" Suho was now standing above them. He looked down and offered, "Hey monk, I like you. You should join my guild." This invitation left Myojin unable to adapt, his eyes showing clear bewilderment. Huh. Not far from them, a group of skeletons armed with weapons had appeared and were rushing towards them. Hearing the noise, Suho calmly turned to look, his eyes widening. "Exploration," he murmured. Immediately, his vision expanded, covering the entire area, and he could see the number of skeletons running towards them. They shrieked. The skeletons, each wearing a different colored cloak, their mouths agape, were swinging their swords wildly, not letting them wait. Suho pushed off from behind, and in a flash, his agile body shot forward without hesitation. Witnessing this, Dongsu was terrified. Is he really going to wipe them all out? He wondered. Lost in his bewildered thoughts, a long staff suddenly landed in front of him. The one who had thrown it was none other than Myojin. "Catch it!" he shouted. Dongsu came to his senses and grabbed the staff. I don't care anymore. I have to start fighting with them hunting monsters according to the plan after using area taunt." After a struggle, he finally managed to climb up. "Ugh," he groaned. But they couldn't have imagined that by the time they got up, all the skeletons had already been defeated. They lay scattered on the ground, groaning in pain. Myojin was stunned by the sight. Dongsu's jaw dropped. "This is crazy. How did he take care of all of them?" Seeing them standing there, dumbfounded, Suho urged, "Hurry up and help me clean up this trash." Hearing his voice, they both snapped back to reality, focused, and replied, "I'm on it. That Hyungnim is insane." The three of them then coordinated seamlessly, wiping out the skeletons without any difficulty. In another location, Supervisor Sang-shik had witnessed everything. He was astonished. Did he detect that trap with his exploration skill, and he even used the trap to his advantage, slaughtering the swarming monsters with his incredible speed, just as he thought that he froze his eyes wide? Suho, with just one hand, had broken a skeleton's head. Seizing the opportunity while he wasn't looking, another one crept up from above. But he immediately noticed his eyes glancing up. Before Suho could react, a staff flew from somewhere and pierced through the unfortunate skeleton's head, killing it instantly. The one who had struck was none other than Myojin. Dongsu cheered from behind, "Awesome!" Suho continued to destroy the skeletons, kicking them away with a single blow. The system announced, "You have gained 42 attainment points." In a brightly lit building, several people were watching a large screen. A notification appeared. "A team is returning from the dungeon." What, it hasn't even been 30 minutes, Major Jonsu said in surprise. He moved closer to look. "Isn't the average time for this dungeon 5 hours? Did they have an accident? What team number is it?" "Team 15, sir. All members seem to be in stable condition." "Team 15. That's Park Suho's team, right? Suddenly, the phone rang. He answered, "Yes, this is the inspection director. Why are they back so soon?" Supervisor Sang-shik replied, "Because they've already cleared the dungeon." "What did you say?" Major Jeonsu exclaimed in surprise. "Although you'll see it when you watch the surveillance video, I think it will be very difficult to evaluate their parameters, because this was the most high-level performance ever seen in a dungeon." Time passed quickly. Back in their daily lives in a familiar alley, Dong-soo was live-streaming with a smile. "Hello everyone. Welcome to the vlog channel, The Little Things in Suho Guild's Daily Life." He looked at the enthusiastic comments. "Huh. You're asking what I'm going to show you today. First, let's watch the video of Suho Guild's move to a new house." A while later, in a large house, Dong-soo's voice was heard. "Well, now I'll introduce you to the members of Suho Guild. First is the incredibly charming and lovely nutrition expert who is also our head chef." He pointed the camera directly at the landlady who was cooking. "Grandma, say hello to the viewers." She raised a sharp knife, her eyes looking like she wanted to eat him alive. "Grandma is busy. Get lost before I stir-fry your heart, liver, and lungs." Every word she said made Dong-soo's ears bleed. Jianwoo, eating nearby, asked, "Dad, what does stir-fry your heart and liver mean?" Junho didn't know how to answer, just mumbled, "Ah ha ha, this isn't abuse. She's a very affectionate person." Dong-soo continued. He then pointed the camera at a Buddha statue on a cabinet. "Ah, you're asking why there's a Buddha statue in this office if you're asking me to talk about this statue? Ah, right. You haven't met the owner of this statue yet, have you? Then let's go meet one of the 3 members of Suho Guild, the Master of Area Taunt Monk Myo-jin of the Bonglim staff." Without further delay, Dong-soo went inside where Suho and Myo-jin were eating. "Hyung-nims." "You're here?" Suho asked. "Have you seen the monk yet, everyone? That's Monk Myo-jin." Hearing his name, Myo-jin turned and said warmly, "Come have a bite." Before he could say more, Dong-soo continued his live stream. "Monk Myo-jin, say hello to the viewers." This was the first time Myo-jin had experienced this, so he was a bit shy. After a moment of thought, he cheerfully held up his weapon and introduced himself. "This humble monk lost many things while fighting evil monsters, but with this staff left by my senior brother..." Just then a loud voice interrupted their story. A car had stopped outside. Junho, sitting inside, looked out. Everyone were all set. That was all they needed. Everyone stood up excitedly and ran outside. "Let's go boss the bill." The 3 of them climbed into Junho's car, a drone flying above them. "Hey, what's that thing that's been flying around?" Suho asked, looking up at the drone. "Let me smash it." "Oh my god, Hyung-nim, you don't even know what a drone is," Dong-soo quickly said. He then looked at the camera. "We are now moving to the area with Gate 30 in Zone B. Do you see that blue gate? Today is a historic milestone marking the first day of Suho Guild's dungeon hunt." As he spoke, Dong-soo looked confident. "Do you remember the video of my awakening skill? Just wait until I get back and upload it." After a while, they arrived at a cliff. In the sky above, a swarm of black bats flew around. "Are those bats?" Suho asked in surprise. "Is this a bat dungeon?" Dong-soo added. He looked at Suho. "Hyung-nim, do you have any area of effect skills?" "No," Suho replied calmly. "Then how are we supposed to catch them?" he continued. Just then, Myo-jin stepped forward. "Leave it to me," he said softly. Suho and Dong-soo glanced at him confused. Immediately, Myo-jin began to use his skill, taking out his moktak and striking it. The sound quickly spread, covering a radius of thousands of miles. Hearing the sound, the bats in the sky began to react, swarming together at one point. Witnessing this strange phenomenon, Dong-soo immediately took out his camera and pointed it at the sky. "Wow! Why are they doing that, everyone? Look, the bats are reacting strangely to Monk Myo-jin's chanting. If you look closely, you can see these bats aren't normal at all. They have very grotesque faces and sharp fangs." They then gathered into a ball of darkness and shot down. "They're coming!" Dong-soo shouted. The place the bats were heading was none other than where Myo-jin was sitting, striking his moktak. When the bats got close, he immediately stopped and grabbed his weapon, ready to fight. "The bats are attacking Monk Myo-jin," Dong-soo shouted. The camera zoomed in on a bat's face. Its eyes glowed blood red. its mouth wide open, roaring. But Myojin was no pushover. He used his flaming mountain wind staff technique, sparks flying, and scattered the attacking bats. Wow, everyone look! It's the flaming mountain wind staff. When the smaller bats were all defeated, the Bat Queen finally appeared, rising from the abyss. It let out a loud roar, as if trying to tear the space in front of it apart. The final boss of this bat dungeon has finally appeared. But before the boss could even show off for a few seconds, Suho appeared with a sword in hand and sliced it in two. Wow! With just one slash from Hyungnim Suho, Dongsu exclaimed in amazement. He then used his knife to slash at the smaller bats that were still attacking. We've cleared this dungeon. After the battle, the three of them sat next to the dissected bat corpses. The door is open. Let's hurry, Suho said. Hyungnim, let's sell one more of these, Dongsu added. Dongsu's live stream that day was a great success with a huge number of viewers. They commented, "No way is attacking a dungeon that easy. Clearing a dungeon in 20 minutes, is that for real? I was just at that bat dungeon 3 days ago. It's not an easy dungeon to clear." Park Suho is the one who set the new record for the test, right? And he's F rank. I thought he was just a monk-style character, not a real monk. Dongsu, you don't have to do anything. He just sits there and collects the bloodstones of hundreds of bats. Hilarious. The video quickly went viral. In a large office, a person was sitting at a desk, clicking furiously. It was Misu. She looked at the screen and sighed. Phew. Her assistant spoke up. Their guild headquarters is located in Zone 4 of Seoul. At this rate, the three of them can clear up to 20 dungeons a day. They are currently destroying the nearby level 1 dungeons. On the phone, a headline read, "The Rise of the F-Rank Genius Hunter Park Suho." 7789 comments. So cool. Are they for real? Hearing this, Misu held her head and sighed in exhaustion. We tried to block the news, but I never expected one of them to be a streamer. Currently, videos related to Park Suho have reached the top 3 on the search rankings. If we block the news, it will cause an uproar. We need to prepare another countermeasure, the assistant continued. I know that, she replied. Just then, she froze her eyes wide. On the computer screen was a new hot topic, Hero versus Ivanov. The Russian world champion Mikhail Ivanov challenges Okita Hero. Hero, she thought. After this match, the world's #1 player Mikhail Ivanov has directly challenged his next opponent Okita Hero from Japan. Next, it's your turn, he had said confidently. Okita Hero. In Misu's memory, the image of the man named Hero appeared. Okita Hero, also known as Sung Woo, is an SS rank irregular discovered in Korea. The government quickly approached him to protect him as a national talent. If he faces Lee Sung Woo, just as she thought that her assistant's voice called out, "Captain," she immediately stood up. Get ready. We're going to approach Park Suho. That evening at the house where Suho and the others were staying, the news had spread quickly and fans had flocked there. A vendor took the opportunity to sell his goods. Kimbap 3,000 won a roll. Fish cakes 500 won a stick. Inside the house, Dongsu asked, "Is Monk Myojin not coming today?" "No," Junho replied. "Where did the monk go? His temple is gone too." Suho asked, very curious. Junho smiled. Actually, after that day, the survivors from the monk's temple came to Seoul together and are living here now. Without the monk, our monster hunting efficiency will decrease, Dongsu added. Changing the subject, Junho asked, "Hyung, can we take a day off today? Our guild has qualified for a rank up anyway." This made Dongsu's face light up. "Wow, already? So we can attack level 2 dungeons now, right?" Junho smiled. "And in just 3 days, our guild's central fund has reached 140 million won." "That's right," Dongsu chuckled. "Heh heh. All I did was collect the bloodstones of the bats, and in just 3 days I have $2,000 in my account. If we start attacking level 2 dungeons now." Sitting next to him, Suho noticed Dongsu's expression, a little confused. An information window appeared in front of him. Han Dongsu, level 3F no tuber.